may have been a long and winding road, but it has led us here Friday night under the lights, as it should be. Championship football between a pair of unbeatens. The Yellow Jackets and the Silver Foxes about to tangle for the second time in the past 3 years for the 5A title. Here's a look at Jason Tone. His first time as the head coach. He was the offensive coordinator when these teams met a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's trying to put a stamp on the program on his own tonight. It'll be his first title. And on the other side, Coach Tom Knott's stalking 5 and stalking history.
Two coaches that are making their mark on the Palmetto State after crossing the line. Tom Knott's from North Carolina and Jason Tone, of course, from Georgia. Let's take a look at how they got here. Here is our Farm Bureau Insurance, how they got here.
A brutal gauntlet for both teams. Northwestern, one of the teams for Hanna. Sumter, two powerful teams in the state. Both teams had a tough ride to get here, but here they are.
Welcome to the South Carolina High School 5A Championships, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Pleasure to be at Benedict College. Seems fitting that it's on a Friday night, Stacey Huff, that we're playing football for the title.
Absolutely. Long and winding road, as you mentioned, delayed but not denied. These teams did a lot to get here, all the things the right way, and they get to close it out on a Friday.
Good chance we're going to see history tonight, whatever happens.
Absolutely. I think we're here for a momentous occasion either way, Jason. I think in the next 2 hours, we're going to see history being made. Either T.L. Hanna pulls a momentous and a gigantic upset that'll send shockwaves around the state, or Coach Tom Knotts and Dutch Fork gets their 5th title in a row, never done in South Carolina High School League history.
Also the potential of a 50th straight win for this Dutch Fork Silver Foxes squad. Let's check in with the third member of our broadcast team and go a little closer to the action. Here's Mitch Brown.
Well, guys, I'll tell you what, talking earlier before this game with Coach Knotts, he says earlier this week they saw what T.L. Hanna said. They wanted this Dutch Fork team. They're getting this Dutch Fork team tonight. But he said it actually felt good to be called out. They haven't been called out and seeing someone want to play them in a long time. So he's excited about that. He's chipper. The team has reacted and responded to that, and they're chipper as well. So it's going to be an exciting game here on the sidelines. The team has already started warming up, and they seem to be excited about this opportunity to send this senior class out with no losses and 4 rings on their hands, guys.
The season itself was a win. Now it's time to crown a champion. T.L. Hanna, Dutch Fork, next.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 70 years. Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
Did you know that you might need to get tested for COVID-19 more than once? If you're out and about in the community, DHEC recommends that you get tested at least once a month. Getting tested regularly helps diagnose those who may be asymptomatic and helps slow the spread of the virus. Learn more about how often you should get tested and how to find a testing location at scdhec.gov/COVID-19 testing.
We ready. We ready. We ready for you.
It has all come down to these two looking for a 5th straight crown. There are the Dutch Fork Foxes, and here come the Hanna Jackets trying to win the school's first ever state championship in their second trip in the past 3 years. You know, if December arrives, Dutch Fork is going to be in the mix, and here they are once again trying to make sure nobody else ever wins a 5A crown. That's been the case thus far. Let's take a look at our Ingles food for thought. These are your keys to the game.
Of course, Hanna wants to control the tempo. They play that ground game. They pound it and pound it. And, of course, they got to believe they can pull the upset tonight. For the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes, they got to score early and often, which they're known to do. And, of course, remember, they are chasing history. So they have a lot on tap for them tonight. Both teams, you can feel the excitement in this stadium right now.
Our keys to the game, the food for thought, brought to you by Ingles Markets, where your savings say something. A rain beginning to fall here at Charlie Johnson Stadium on the campus of Benedict College in the state capital of Columbia, South Carolina. We'll see what that does to this contest tonight. It's time for our John's RV Sales and Service kickoff. John's RV Sales and Service features one of South Carolina's largest selection of new and pre-owned RVs. Come see us in Lexington or visit us online at johnsrv.com. How about that, Stacey Huff,
yes,
as we get ready to put toe to leather and start this 5A state championship game? The mist begins to fall here on Johnson Stadium in Columbia, and we are underway between the Silver Foxes and the TL Hanna Jackets. A little bit of footing issues perhaps on the start. It's all right up across the 20. Football loose for a moment and up to the 30-yard line. That is where Dutch Fork will take over. So we get to see the champs first. And Stacey, here's what may be an issue tonight.
It's slippery field. It could be an omen. A lot of people think the wet field favors Hanna, and the ball's on the ground, picked up by Elijah Spencer, the senior wide receiver who has several offers, and he was Johnny on the spot that time. Big break earlier for Dutch Fork.
It is turf. It's beginning to get slightly wet. We'll see how that factors in. Here is Will Taylor, first-year quarterback in his senior season for the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. Transferred in, spent a great deal of time during his career at Ben Lippen, and he's an outstanding baseball and football player. He's not the highlight on the first play, though. Gonna give off, and Jarvis Green is loose into Hanna territory. It takes only a single play for Dutch Fork to ignite the faithful here in Columbia.
This game is going to be all about line of scrimmage control. Both sides. It's not just Hanna's ground game. The outstanding sophomore Jarvis Green hits that middle, bounces to the outside, and this young man is also a starting guard on the Dutch Fork basketball team that played for a state title. He's a talented kid.
Dutch Fork going to go quick, and here is Taylor weaving through traffic now. He's inside the 35 and down to the 32-yard line. Well, you have seen Green. You have seen Taylor. Here is the surrounding cast for Dutch Fork. Our Popowski and Shirley Law starting lineups.
Yeah, there's Spencer had the from recovery. Antonio Williams, a young man, getting a lot of interest now. Southern Cal, the Gamecocks have offered. Devin Height, whose brother Jalen was a starter. He started here at Tennessee. Reed Smith, Taylor, the quarterback. Green, Al-Khatib, and we get to the rest of the gentlemen after this next play.
Popowski and Shirley empowering the injured, the sponsors of our starting lineups, as the rain continues to fall. It's Green again. He finds a seam inside the 10, and he's going to be forced out of bounds. It will set up a 1st and goal for Dutch Fork with the Will Lou Gray first down. It's a Will Lou Gray Opportunity School first down run. Will Lou Gray, a rich tradition of individualized learning. And here's Dutch Fork with little time needed to start knocking on the door, reminding everybody just who the champs have been for the last 4 years in the Palmetto State.
This is how you come out and deliver a blow if you're the defending champions.
Taylor going to give off Green. They make a wide hole over the middle, and Dutch Fork, in less than a minute of game action, is on the board in the 5A title game.
Dutch Fork trying to remove, no doubt, and a lot of that internet chatter earlier this week was on the mind of Dutch Fork. Parents, coaching staff, and players all were aware of the talk from TL Hanna, and the Rushers touchdown by Jarvis Green. Great job up front by the offensive line of Dutch Fork.
Rushes remind you, you'll love the taste we're made of. Visit one of the 9 locations in the Midlands today. And the Rushes touchdown coming quickly for this squad, looking for a 50th consecutive win. They are in search of a 5th straight state title. You've heard us say it more than once. No public institution at the high school level in South Carolina has ever won more than 4 in a row, and Dutch Fork off to a good start toward that end, Stacey.
Well, absolutely. Let's look at Coach Tom Knotts on your screen right there. He's trying to have a dynastic run in 2 different states, 7 in a row in Independence and Charlotte, now going for 5 here. Take a look at this highlight right here. Jarvis Green, the sophomore.
Green came in with 104 carries for 619 yards, 11 touchdowns. Also a pretty good receiver. He's caught 11 passes for 155 other yards. Here he did his work on the ground. Here's a young man who made the move from wide receiver to running back. I think that little move paid off for the Foxes.
You get the talented players in the right position. That's what Tom Knox does a great job of. He's been described by his own staff as maybe an offensive genius. He married George Allen's Washington Redskins old offense. He married that to Bill Walsh's San Francisco 49ers offense from the 80s and 90s and created his own offense. And that's why it's hard to copy what he's done. But Tom Knox and his offensive staff coming out and winning every down just about on that last drive.
4 plays, 69 yards, 51 seconds for the Silver Foxes, and Tom Knotts, who just continues to rack up the numbers. He is headed for, if he can get it done tonight, a record 12th state championship, or 13th, I should say, 12 of them already in 38 seasons. We mentioned he made the crossover from North Carolina, where he built powers at Independence and beyond. We'll get into the whole stories before the night is done, but here comes another very quick John's RV Sales and Service kickoff. A foot into it for the first time from the Dutch Fork side of things, and we'll see what kind of answer T.L. Hanna will have. That slips off the fingertips of the return man and goes through the end zone. It will be a touchback. So we get our first look now at Hanna's offense. Interestingly enough, under the direction of a sophomore quarterback in Trey Horn. There you see Cam Johnson and J.J. Hudson, his 2 main weapons, and here's the rest of the starting lineup for Hanna.
Trey Horn, good-looking sophomore. Pendergrass. Hudson is the leading rusher. Cam Johnson, Moss, they touch it a good bit. Brownlee, Edwards, Moorhead, Couch, Kuzer, and Caleb Guard up front. Brownlee, the fullback, he gets a lot of touches as well, number 24.
Again, those are the Popowski and Shirley Law starting lineups, empowering the injured. That's Popowski and Shirley. And the first play going to be a handoff. Here's the explosive J.J. Hudson. He's up across the 20. Dutch Fork was ready for it. He keeps struggling, though, forward, and that's the fight you're going to see from Hanna tonight. Here's the defense trying to put a stop to them. Who do you highlight on the defensive side of the ball for Dutch Fork as we look at the starting lineup for the Silver Foxes here in a moment, Stacey?
A couple of names stand out to me. One of them is going to be Wicker, the young man who, C.J. Wicker, number 38. He's their leading tackler, inside linebacker. They need him to play very big. Chandler Perry is a good-looking sophomore, number 29. And again, I throw in a third name in there, Uwusu, number 45. He's been on this team, a 3-year starter at the end spot.
Yeah, Ryan Stewart back as well. You want to keep an eye on him. Yeah. Finally, heavy rain coming down as Hanna is upended at around the 25-yard line. And on cue, you called for it. There is Chandler Perry making his presence known.
Outstanding young sophomore. They think a lot of him. They think he has a bright future here. That young man, we had a game early in the season, regular season, and he makes plays all over the field. They move him around, and he uses his speed and physical strength to get to the ball.
What a linebacking unit. Perry, Wicker, Wise, Chisholm, the names go on and on. This is a Dutch Fork defense allowing less than 10 points per game. Just 9.8 points per game. So if you round it up right at just the verge of single digits there, and forced 3 turnovers last week in that shutout of Sumter.
Dutch Fork gives a first down to T.O. Hanna right there with an offsides penalty, and that's the break that T.O. Hanna made. They were stopped. That offsides moves the chains for them.
And you know what that provided? A Will Lou Gray.
Absolutely.
First down chance for T.L. Hanna. They have it up across the 31. Remember, this is around the spot on the field where the drive started for Dutch Fork a moment ago. It's where the igniting happens for T.L. Hanna. Down the far side is D.J. Brownlee, and he brings them to life on the Hanna side of things.
We mentioned him with the starting lineup. He does touch it quite a bit, and he was run down. Great show of speed that time by Trace Danley. Trace Danley, the senior. His brother's also in the starting lineup for Dutch Fork, but great run, great job up front by the T.L. Hanna big boys. And good burst of speed. He slowed down a little bit right there, and Danley took advantage, and that's a touchdown saving tackle.
Brownlee getting them into the Hyundai drive zone. As you looking at Mr. Clutch, they call him there. He's been the guy. Had the 37-yard run to set up the 1-yard touchdown that ended up sealing things last week against Northwestern to put Hanna in the championship battle, and he's the first big impact player for the Jackets in this one. And everything happening inside, bodies flying everywhere, and it's going to be stacked up at the 10-yard line. Mentioned Trey Horn at the helm here, Stacey. You got a senior quarterback who transferred in for Dutch Fork, and you've got a sophomore quarterback with a very high ceiling, but a young man. Talk about handling the environment as a 10th grader. His jersey number matches his grade at T.L. Hanna.
Absolutely. That's a young, precocious sophomore, and if he can get this done, he has 2 years to come back and get really control of this offense. So when a sophomore plays like that, that's a good mark for a program.
287 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. personally. The ball pops loose inside the 10, and now it's loose once more. Dutch Fork can't seem to get a handle on it, and it'll remain with Hanna.
Are you kidding me? The ball ends up in the hand of number 42, Miles Ramey. How many people touch this football?
It's slick on the field, and it's the last one that matters. And the last one is Ramey, who covers it up to avert disaster for Hanna. Watch the hot potato.
There's a greased pigskin out there, picked up at one point by Gabe Wise. Maybe the unwise decision to try to advance it, but I understand he wanted to make a big play for his team. And Ramey comes up with a big fumble recovery, keeping the ball inside the 10-yard line for T.L. Hanna.
I remember it was a 90-plus yard fumble returned for touchdown that turned the tide in the fourth quarter of that meeting back in 2018 that belonged to Tyreek McDaniel. This time around, it stays with Hanna. And diving forward for every yard. Boy, the big guys up front making the difference for the Jackets as they try and even the score. Down to the 1-yard line is Hanna.
Anytime you've thrown the ball less than 30 times coming into the championship game after a season, you know that boys up front are potent, and you don't need to throw the football if you can dominate at the point of attack, and that's what they're doing. Dutch Fork has to come out with an answer right now. Good drive by T.L. Hanna.
Here's the give inside and down around the 2-yard line. All that's going to be available for Fletcher Cothran, talented defender who of late has become an offensive contributor as well. He's made an impact on the offensive side of the ball in recent days. You see him in the backfield there along with Cabral Morrison. And third down from the 1-yard line for Hanna. And shall we say it with the man on the sideline for the Jackets, the tone-setting drive for the team wearing the white jerseys.
You beat me with the first tone pun. I got more coming, though. We got plenty of time.
Here comes a third down and goal. And Hanna will give it to Morrison. They're waiting the signal.
There it is.
Touchdown. Well, the first touchdown for Hanna reminds you of one thing, Stacy. As the Rush's touchdown goes on the board, you know that there is one gentleman smiling down on this Hanna team. They lost radio, James Robert Kennedy, just about a year ago last December. This is their first season without him. You can't see the Jackets without thinking about his spirit. It's certainly alive and well. And radio's Jackets have their first points of the 5A title game.
Absolutely. Good point to bring that out. A great movie, great story. He was a great man. I actually got to meet Radio back in the day. And that's blocked, so 7-6 is going to be the score. But, yeah, he's going to be missed forever in that Hanna program. But Dutch Fork is going to keep a 1-point lead after that block extra point.
We had the pleasure of having him in the booth 2 years ago. You know he's cheering the Jackets on right now. They pull within one. Both teams effective on their initial drive in the 5A title game.
For every moment, for every memory, from that first car to your first home, to your first child, and all the highs and lows that tomorrow might bring. For everything that matters most to you and your family, there's someone right around the corner dedicated to helping you protect what you love. Your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Farm Bureau Insurance. Real service, real people.
Well, T.L. Hanna now set for the John's RV Sales and Service kickoff. Once again, a reminder, John's RV Sales and Service, one of South Carolina's largest selection of new and pre-owned RVs. Come see them in Lexington or visit them online at johnsrv.com. And here is Billingsley's kick. Well, fans taking a deep breath after both drives were fast-paced and of impact. And the return out across the 20 to the 21-yard line, that's where Dutch Fork will take over. We didn't get to talk much about him because it happened so quickly on that first drive, but Will Taylor, a Clemson commit for baseball, who may very well go in the 2021 Major League Baseball draft. That tells you the strength of his arm.
Absolutely.
But he's also one of the top prospects in football. The Tigers are talking about letting him play both sports if he ends up in Tiger Town.
There's Coach Tom Knott, short sleeve and shorts. But, you know, he has power to him. Not only does he have a great arm, he can hit the ball as well. Taylor's a very complete baseball player.
Tom Knott said about him, he has exceeded our expectations coming over and learning the system even in the COVID-shortened year. And he's going for the home run ball here. Has a man underneath it, caught inside the 25-yard line.
Guess who?
He makes his first connection with Devin Hyatt.
Wearing the 7 his big brother made famous here. Jalen Hyatt wore 7 and went on to Tennessee and having a big freshman year with the Volunteers. Little brother, only a sophomore and faster than Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, this is mindful of Olin Chuck to Hyatt, what we saw for so many years, the trademark of those Dutch Fork championship runs across the last several seasons. This time it is Devin Hyatt with the Will Lou Gray first down, and just outside of the drive zone, the red zone as you know it, at the 22-yard line. Looking for that Myrtle Beach Hyundai drive zone. Dutch Fork with the first big play through the air in this football game, and now a flag comes in with 7:12 to go in the first.
That's going to be a motion penalty on Dutch Fork. They do a lot of motion.
Gives us a chance to take a look at the starting lineup defensively for TL Hanna, brought to you by Popowski and Shirley Long.
Reed, Leverett, Madison, Cheek on the line. The linebackers are Smith, Brownlee, Madison, Sullivan, Johnson, West, Carson, and Hudson in the secondary. And a lot of these guys for Hanna go both ways, something you don't usually see in 5A football. But there are a lot of guys that play both ways.
Keep an eye on Brody Madison and then Nick Carson when he gets into the secondary. He's a 2-year starter, kind of the quarterback of the defense, wearing jersey number 27, according to the Hanna folks. And here is another penalty. It's going to be motion against Dutch Fork, and it will back the Foxes up.
Yes.
Across the 30 to the 32-yard line. So let's talk Will Taylor just a moment. We mentioned he's committed to Clemson. He's the #1 outfielder in the state of South Carolina, the #1 overall prospect in baseball. But he's been hearing from all the baseball scouts constantly as the contact is taking place through COVID. He said to everybody who'd been calling him, the 30 major league teams, give me a week to focus on trying to win a football state championship. And his locked in on that as he delivers a pass caught by Elijah Spencer.
Flag
and Spencer's down to the 11, but you said it, there is a flag at the 29-yard line. That's interesting, though. He said, give me a week to focus in on doing something that's going to be a lifetime memory for me. My entire mindset is toward the winning of Dutch Fork's 5th straight title.
Absolutely. A 3rd straight penalty against Dutch Fork. Though a legal man downfield is going to be the penalty. After that big play to Hyatt, they've had nothing but penalties. But the other thing that's been evident here, they have a hard time covering these wide receivers at Dutch Fork. That's going to make a long day for TL Hanna. Well, we may have a high-scoring game on our hands, Jason Patterson.
Why not? You got 2 D1 prospects and Elijah Spencer and Antonio Williams out there, and we've already seen what Devin Hyatt can do. It's a 3-headed monster in terms of the top-level receivers they're having to contend with.
It's first down and a long-distance phone call for Dutch Fork right here.
Yeah, the line to make is all the way down at the 12-yard line for Dutch Fork. They got several downs to work with, but a long way to go. And it's sealed off on the corner inside the 25 and down around the 21-yard line.
Williams
goes Antonio Williams. Well, you saw Elijah Spencer. Now you've heard from Antonio Williams. 2 touchdowns each in the season opening game as Taylor threw for 305 yards, gave a sense of what they were going to be, and they use them a number of different ways. Take a look at Antonio Williams there.
He has the Jets, 5'10", 180, only a junior. He'll get bigger and stronger. The young man is hard to cover as an 11th grader already.
Team leading 49 receptions for him. Here's a seam. Here's a touchdown. Will Taylor. Yeah, the arm is strong, but the legs aren't bad either. A rushes touchdown for the quarterback, Taylor.
Don't talk about rushes too much. I'm a little hungry up here, but Will Taylor didn't run a lot early in the season, although we knew that was in the skill set. Had a bum ankle, I'm told, by some people close to the program. So as the ankle got stronger and he trusted his legs a little bit better, he ran more as the season went on. And look at this run. He's faster than you think. And he gets to that hole quicker than a hiccup.
I got bad news for you, partner. Rushes is the sponsor of the touchdown, and they seem to be coming in droves in the early going. So you're going to hear a lot about the taste they're made of and the opportunities you have to visit their 9 locations in the Midlands.
Guess where I'm headed after this game.
Do so today. Here's the extra point. Critical with that miss earlier. This one's good. So the separation will be 14-6 in favor of the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. And the latest touchdown coming from Will Taylor. Had 21 through the air, also had 9 touchdowns on the ground this season. Take a look at the job the job Dutch Fork did to get it in position. And after all the hiccups, he was able to close the deal, Stacy.
Yeah, good play action fake, and got Hyatt open. Hyatt had to slow down for that ball. That's how fast that kid is. He's like a 4.3 40 kid as a 10th grader. And then Taylor shows the wheels. Offensive line did a great job on all those plays. including the play by Williams before that. And look at that. Barely touched at the 5-yard line. Other than that, he was unbothered.
How did it happen that he ended up at Dutch Fork? Tommy Knott's wife was his father's dental hygienist. They've known him since he was a kid, the Knotts family.
Wow.
And said, I remember when he was just a little guy, waist high, he and his brother coming over. His brother, of course, who plays on the defensive side, Paul Taylor, both a part of this Dutch Fork run here in 2020. Safe to say, pretty good choice for the 3-year starter at Ben Lippen to transfer in January.
He did not get a junior year in baseball. You talked about that. I saw someone send me a clip of him hitting a 400-foot towering home run in a scrimmage last year, but he did not get to play that season, we all remember, because of COVID.
Exactly.
And so he didn't get a junior year, still got an offer from Clemson. That's how talented the kid is.
Still that high. And they're, again, talking about both sports in terms of if he ends up in the upstate to play his college football and baseball. Here's the John's RV Sales and Service kickoff for Dutch Fork. And they are coming in rapid-fire fashion here in the first period from these teams. The return is out to the 24-yard line, and that is where T.L. Hanna will take over. Well, I think explosive is a word you could use about what we've seen so far.
Without a doubt. And by the way, there was Wicker on that tackle just then. They used the starters on special teams like a lot of good teams do. But, man, we've had an explosion with 5:49 to play in the first quarter. Jason, did you expect this?
Well, it certainly has been everything you would want if you like offense and you like to see these teams go back and forth. And here comes Hanna back to the charge with, again, the rain still falling pretty heavily here. It started right about the time of kickoff, but it has not in any way cooled down these red-hot offenses. And keeping it inside where he finds a way to push forward for about 6 yards. That's Trey Horn making something out of nothing right there.
I'm impressed with the toughness of the runners of T.L. Hanna. You hear a lot about them coming in. The stats say that as well, but to see it in person, they're very determined. You see the rain coming down. Great shot by our camera crew right there. It is a rainy Friday night here in December in Columbia, South Carolina. Charlie W. Johnson Stadium is the place, but let's see who the rain favors as we go along.
Yeah, the mist coming down through the Friday night lights, and there is a carry over the middle, 33-yard line. That's about all. You keep calling Wicker's name. He's right there each and every time after the carry by D.J. Brownlee there. Didn't get a chance to give you Horn's numbers right away. Talked about the 5 touchdowns, 287 rushing yards for Horn. As you see Wicker there, boy, what a player he is trying to make the stop. 80 tackles, 7 for a loss, 4 sacks, 2 deflections, and 2 passes broken up. Those are the numbers on the year for Wicker.
Bright future for that young man. He is, as well as Chandler Perry, sharp-looking young linebackers. I think Wicker's actually a junior, and Perry's a sophomore. And they also have the Danley brothers. Now, one of the Danleys is a sophomore, Landon, 6'9". They're the sons of Trace Danley, who played at Auburn with Stephen Davis. So Auburn great. He's moved back into the area, and his son's transferred over from River Bluff this year, and both are starting for Dutch Fork's defense, and Trace and Landon.
When you battle through what these teams have battled through across the course of this year, you become a band of brothers. And both these teams, and Danley, on this case, on the Dutch Fork side of things, same thing true on the T.L. Hanna side. They have a pair of brothers on the defensive side of the football, but these groups having become brothers across the course of the year, Stacey, and it shows. Unbeaten again. 2 years ago when they met here in 2018, the only loss of the season for T.L. Hanna was that loss to Dutch Fork. They have come back 2 years later, both of them still unblemished, even though it's a shortened season.
Absolutely. That's a tribute to both programs, though. Stick-to-itiveness. Dorman came back here and played. We broadcast the game last year, played a classic overtime game with Dutch Fork, but just 1 year gap in between. Back comes T.L. Hanna from right off Highway 81 in Anderson, South Carolina. They're right back here in Columbia 2 out of 3 years.
Yeah, you grab you a Skins hot dog up there in the Electric City.
What you know about that?
When you work your way there.
That's my second hometown.
Can't get through there without making that happen. And the Hanna Jackets, we talked a little bit earlier on the touchdown about radio. You know the story, you know the movie. His presence, his spirit certainly still with his team. His statue stands at the front of the stadium where the lights flicker when the Jackets do something positive. They're looking for it on 3rd down. They'll go to jersey number 3. Pays dividends. Here's a first down run for J.J. Hudson, a Will Lou Gray movement of the chains.
Hudson comes in with over 800 yards rushing, over 1,000 yards total. He also returns kicks. And if he caught a couple of passes, they've thrown for less than 30 times all season, but he's done a lot of damage in the running game and in the kick game. Hudson's one of their keys.
Rare combo of strength and speed, guy who wins in the weight room. Talk about what a humble, quiet leader he is. Did this coaching staff when those of us in the media had a chance to visit with him across the course of this week. And they say never in a bad mood, a pleasure to coach. Well, certainly when he reels off those kind of runs, it makes it a little easier to coach him as well. Second down coming now for T.L. Hanna after J.J. Hudson carried the last time. This one to D.J. Brownlee. And the clock winding down under 3:47 and ticking on down to go in the opening period. Couple of touchdowns on the board for Dutch Fork. And Dutch Fork with that 14-6 lead after Hanna missed the extra point.
I think Mitch has indicated to me there may be an injury information that he needs to share downstairs. So we'll check in with Mitch and see what he has down there in just a moment.
As soon as they've got him, we'll throw his direction. Charles Couch was ready to go a little quicker than everybody else, and on the second down play. And this will take it up to the 44-yard line, and third down coming. Third down, Stacy, pretty important. Third down for Hanna coming up right here.
No doubt. That was a good tackle that last time made by Miles Wilkes. Starting the season on JV, number 27 for Dutch Fork, and they're going to need more play from those corners in this run game. Big third down, as you mentioned.
Backing out to make sure he's got the call from the far sideline is Trey Horn.
And that's going to be a penalty.
Now,
maybe a
stoppage
timeout
before we get going.
Yeah,
no penalty there, but it's a timeout for T.L. Hanna. And the Jackets going to talk over this third down. We mentioned how important it seems to be in the early stages with 2:41 to play. And the team's coming over to talk it over. Mentioned Jason Tone was the offensive coordinator when under Jeff Herron. They worked their way to the state title game, did Hanna a couple of years ago to face top-notch Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. Different role for him this go-round. His team facing a big third down. As we check in now with Mitch Brown for that injury report. Mitch?
Yeah, guys, you saw Devin Hyatt make that huge catch there on that last drive for Dutch Fork, but he won't be returning in this game. He's in the tent right now for Dutch Fork. He has his shoulder in a cast, and his shoulder is wrapped up in ice right now, so he will not return to this game. He is distraught. Junior wide receiver Nick Sowell will be in his place now.
Oh, man, landed awkwardly.
Yeah, not what you want to see, Stacy, and certainly hope that things will certainly work out quickly for not a return today, it does not appear, but quick healing. And now Sowell going to be called upon with Dutch Fork's on offense. And it looks like they're about to be on offense again. Blown up as coming in there to make the stop for Dutch Fork.
Number 91, Travis Batts on that play. He got through.
Yep, Travis Batts. Thought you had something there that you wanted to go with. Look at Batts. Helmet rolled off and everything. And he's celebrating as he sets up the fourth down and the return of the kick opportunity as Williams stands back at the 24. Boy, bad news on that Dutch Fork sideline right there. Not what you want to see, Stacey.
Not exactly at all. The 10th grader who was making his mark on the game, one big play. He's the deepest of all threats, but Williams has speed as well. They're going to have to adjust to Hyatt been out of this ball game.
So here is the punter. Adam Roberts going to put a right foot into it.
Look, they could have blocked that.
Roberts' punt will bounce. There's a flag down at the 44, and this is going to be blown dead inside the 40 at the 36-yard line. We'll sort out the flag on the other side of the break. Dutch Fork with a football back and a 14-6 lead late first. Well, a 14-6 lead for Dutch Fork. It does not matter what the weather is. You know you're going to get Coach Knotts in that trademark shorts, short sleeves, ready to go football look. Stacey.
Absolutely. He's definitely no Jason Patterson with the haberdashery. Jason Patterson always resplendent in the navy blue broadcaster wear, but Tom Knox, that's his uniform. T-shirt, shorts, no matter the weather, no matter the situation.
Let me tell you what, he gets the job done. Think about his work at Independence High School in North Carolina. 296 wins, 7 North Carolina state titles. If you talk 50 in a row and you think that's something, what his team could win with a victory here tonight in South Carolina, they won 109 straight at Independence during that run of North Carolina titles. Of course, he left to go to Duke for 1 year, came back, but 7 state titles there. He's put together those in South Carolina, 12 total in 38 seasons and over 120 wins just during his time at Dutch Fork. And he dials this one up for another Will Lou Gray first down. That's up across the 40, 45, spinning forward at the 50. We are seeing the latest Jarvis Green exploits as he moves the chains.
And he's eating up the green right here. The screen perfectly set up, executed by Taylor. He showed a lot of patience. As we take a look at the replay, we'll see how he stood there and allowed the defense to rush through. And I was told Jarvis Green might have a big game tonight, and now you're seeing it.
Outstanding sophomores in this football game on both sides, and he's one of them. And it's going to go to the far side behind Will Taylor. And Taylor down around the 36-yard line as Dutch Fork keeps it moving forward. Under a minute and a half. What are going to be your memories of this first quarter at this point, Stacey?
Well, right now it's going to be the fact that the big play has been there available for Dutch Fork. The reverse play, Taylor on the run, and Devin Hyatt's big play has been available early and often for Dutch Fork.
Two contrasting styles, a Dutch Fork team running so many different looks, using so much speed and so many different playmakers. One of those, Taylor. He's outside and he's to the 20 and down to the 19-yard line is Taylor. Move the chains again. He's got a Will Lou Gray first down and he's in the Myrtle Beach Hyundai drive zone all at the same time.
Look at the offensive line. It's hard to ask young kids, young linemen to make this reach block on the outside without holding. This time they pull it off once again and Taylor just Cadillacs around that left side. It looks too easy and Hanna has to plug that leak. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Living in the Myrtle Beach Hyundai drive zone. Remember, no games, no gimmicks, just good deals at Myrtle Beach Hyundai. There have been no games and no gimmicks for Dutch Fork. It's just been straight defending championship football. The 4-time defending champs rolling out to the right side with their talented quarterback, Taylor. He makes the connection, spinning forward, but not able to keep his footing to try to get to the end zone is Elijah Spencer. That's all right. It's right near the marker once again. Spencer, 43 receptions, 847 yards, and 12 touchdowns on the season. Talked about him with 2 touchdowns each in the opening game of the year. He followed that up with a 3-touchdown game versus Chapin and has been in a groove ever since. He's a senior headed to UNC Charlotte at the moment, the Charlotte commit. Making the latest impact, setting up the 1st and goal. This stays inside. Jarvis Green again. Why not let him finish? The rush's touchdown to Jarvis Green, who did most of the heavy lifting on this drive.
He's done a lot of heavy lifting this entire first quarter. Believe it or not, we're still only in the first quarter. It's been 4 all game long by air and by land, and this time he eases into the end zone once again. And Jarvis Green, the 10th grader, announcing himself to the state for those that didn't already know. Now you know.
Congratulations as he comes to the near side. And the Silver Foxes loving it. The group out of just the outskirts of the Columbia area there in Irmo, South Carolina. Boy, what they have built since this school came on board. Such a short history, but such a storied history for the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. Latest chapter written on a touchdown run by Jarvis Green. And it is 21-6. Let's go back and look at this march for Dutch Fork. Here's how it started defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stop that time by 91. That time makes a big play, losing his helmet, Travis Bass. And then all of a sudden, the screen, look at that perfectly executed screen. The patience shown by the senior Taylor. Green patient behind his blockers. There's a disciplined team. The system works. And you put good athletes behind that system. Jarvis Green running like a young man possessed and a young man chasing another title. And here he is again behind that great offensive line. We got to get him more love as the broadcast goes along. They've done a yeoman's work up front.
Yeah, Ingall, Murphy, Benson, Holloman, the list goes on and on. You think about the elation they showed when Dutch Fork was able to shut out Sumter, work their way back here for another state title try. This group of senior leaders And you talk about some of those couple we've talked about that paved the way for Jarvis Green, the youngster, to get the job done there on that last drive. They're trying to walk away from here with every finger covered in state championship rings, Stacey.
Absolutely. They're going to have a lot of gold on their hands, making jewelry popular again. And that was Jarvis Green on your screen a minute ago, in the middle of your screen, like that young man having himself quite a night.
Yeah, we talked about that group making the way for him as he was sitting there after the congratulations. Well, this is a T.O. Hanna team about to get the football back, now down a couple of scores. You know their desire, because of the type of offense they run, that Delaware wing T, is to control the pace of the football game. Not happening to this juncture, Stacey. Everything trending Dutch Fork at the moment. This Silver Foxes team coming out ready to play. Up across the 20 to the 25-yard line. That is where T.L. Hanna will take over. This is Jackets offense. They want to settle things down, go on long, sustained drives, pop the big play here and there. It's your typical wing T, double tight. They call it the Delaware wing T offense. It's a ball control scenario that they hope to return to on this drive.
When you're down 2 scores and you run this kind of offense, it becomes late early, and you don't want to fall behind 3. So Dutch Fork is kind of trying to open up the floodgates here and get ahead and hide, but T.L. Hanna will have to get out of character, Jason, if they fall behind much more than this. So right now they can still stay married to the run, but you know they got to be very careful to keep the game close.
This team rolls up 324 yards per game, 38 rushing touchdowns on the year, 2,900 rushing yards in the 9 games played this season. Of course, a limited schedule for all these teams. And in the most unusual of years, 1 quarter in the books from the 5A state title game in Columbia. And Dutch Fork with explosive opening quarter will carry a 21-6 lead into the second period when we return in the 5A title game.
It's footlong season at Subway, and Meditron's got some new news. Contactless curbside pickup is here. Just tap for Tasty in the app and pick up contactless. Because it's safety first, right, Tiny Car? You wearing your seatbelt, little man? Subway, eat fresh. It's footlong season at Subway. Sub out those greasy wings and get that new Subway buffalo chicken or that new barbecue chicken. Oh, that's sweet. Freshly made footlong coming in hot. Now, only in the Subway app, get a free footlong when you buy 2. Subway, eat fresh.
Well, a bit of a different state championship environment. Same story from the last few years so far, though. Dutch Fork leading it after 1 period, 21-6. Just 750 fans allowed in, representing each school. You think about the year it's been due to the COVID challenges. No preseason, no 7-on-7s, a shortened campaign. Coaches pulling double duty. One coach telling us this year, I've checked more temperatures than I did when my kids were growing up. I mean, It's been a little bit of everything that they've had to do to get to this point. And Jerome Singleton, the director of the South Carolina High School League, he told the coaches and the players as we get underway here in the second quarter, he said, I myself at times wasn't sure we were going to have a high school football season.
Yeah, I felt the same way myself, and they're lucky to be here. And shout out and hats off to the kids and programs who did all they could to stay in protocol and stay safe and go through all the new things. Every coach I talked to this year in our games of the week, I asked them, how are your kids handling it? And most times they said the kids handled it better than the adults did. Kids are very resilient. They adjusted and moved on because they wanted to play football.
You will hear from Jerome Singleton at halftime. You think about the work his staff, all these coaches, everybody surrounding all these teams have done just to get the season in. Third down for Hanna. They give back one more time to J.J. Hudson. And he's going to work his way within a couple of yards of the marker. And now here a flag comes out at the tail end of this.
I can tell you what it was.
These are the kind of penalties that drive coaches crazy.
An offensive lineman for Hanna blocked through the whistle, which is okay, and that's the way they play, and it's getting very physical. And Danley came over and retaliated for one of his teammates that had been driven to the ground and laid upon, and Danley came up and pushed the lineman, and they caught him. That's the second man. They caught Danley, and they're going to move him down the field a little bit. And Dutch Fork doesn't need to help Hanna because this offense is potent enough as it is, and Coach Knott's not happy about that.
That keeps the drive alive. Moves the chains for T.L. Hanna, puts him up near midfield as the Jackets will have it at the 48-yard line. That's a South Carolina Department of Corrections first down.
A new first down sponsor.
You got it. South Carolina Department of Corrections. Join our team for rewarding career opportunities by visiting the employment site today at joinscdc.com. First down, Hanna, just inside their own territory at the 44. Now up across the 50 with the latest carry is J.J. Hudson. We talked J.J. Hudson a little bit in the first quarter. I mean, here's a senior that has made his mark for some time. Scored in the title game back in 18 for T.L. Hanna. He's got offers coming in to play at the next level, the leading returning rusher. And then the leading rusher this year, 822 yards, 7 touchdowns, and over 1,100 all-purpose yards for Hudson on the year.
Averaging about 7 yards a carry, which is very impressive. Tribute to himself and the line. But I'm impressed by the way he finishes runs, leaning forward.
And 4 100-yard rushing games this year to J.J. Hudson. And this is going to be brought outside to around the 40-yard line.
And I talked to a coach that coached against this Hanna team early in the season, and they told me they run dive plays, Jason, and then they catch you with the sweep like you just saw right there. They mix that sweep in just enough so you can't keep totally into the off-tackle plays, and that time they use the sweep to move the sticks. They're going to mark it as a first down, I do believe.
Yeah, that was Cam Johnson picking up the South Carolina Department of Corrections first down. 667 yards, 4 touchdowns. He himself 3 games over 100 yards this year for the junior. It's going to be back to J.J. Hudson, and Hudson looking for space between the hashes. He's down to the 37-yard line of the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. This feels like, and I know it's very early in this football game, but with the way Dutch Fork can pull away quickly, this feels like a must-have points type drive for T.L. Hanna already, Stacy.
No doubt about that. 9:33 on the rolling clock. Although in a couple of rounds ago in the playoffs, they trailed Ridgeview by 2 touchdowns and found a way to keep grinding the ball out and came back and won that ball game. But very, very early, this is a big drive. I agree with you, Jason.
Second down play coming for Trey Horn. Yeah, you think about what they've done and in order to get here. We talked about the shutout of Sumter. What a bounce-back game that was after the Carolina Forest shootout that caught a lot of people off guard.
It really did.
For Dutch Fork. For T.L. Hanna, they went on the road to the reservation and ended Gaffney's season, and then they went on the road to District 3 Stadium in Rock Hill and ended Northwestern season. So this is a battle-tested squad.
Carolina Forest ran for over 400 yards on Dutch Fork. They had some players out. No excuses are made by the coaching staff, but I was told that they were not pleased with that display of giving up 400 yards on the ground to Carolina Forest.
But you hear what Jason's Tone team has done in those tough environments. Looking for another third down conversion here, but not enough space in the interior. This is stopped at around the 33-yard line. So now a call coming for Jason Tone in the early stages of the second quarter here, as he's got a 4th down and a couple, and his team trailing by a pair of scores.
Because of what you said earlier, I think they go for this right here. It's a no-brainer situation. This is a big drive. And they trust that offensive line to get 2 yards in any situation, and that's what they need right about now. Long 2. Battle in the trenches right here. This is going to be a great play matchup right here for both lines.
Trey Horn and company staying out there. A little bit of movement before the snap.
And he stopped running. They thought the players stopped.
Everybody stopped, and yet the play continues. No flags anywhere.
That's why they stopped, because there should have been a flag.
And you see palms in the air as everybody's surprised that the play continued.
It was so blatant movement on the up front, and it's going to be 4th down. It's going to be ball turned over. That was the 4th down play. Right here, everybody stopped. It was almost like red light, green light. Everybody stopped, and the play resumed after hitting the pause button. And that's going to be huge, because that's a turnover on downs. And Dutch Fork, up 15, takes over right there.
Little did Morrison know, stays on his feet and keeps on trucking. Not much stopping him on that play, but he ends up short. And it will be Silver Foxes football at their own 34-yard line. So here's a Dutch Fork team that seen Will Taylor, who was perfect on his first 3 passes for right at 100 yards out of the gate. Seen impact from Green, Taylor himself, and Williams on the ground. Of course, Hyatt, who is now out of the football game, Green and Spencer through the air early. And here is a toss out in the direction of Antonio Williams once more. Williams up near first down yardage as he's pushed back. Forward progress is going to give him the 45, and that'll move the chains.
You talk about sweet feet. Antonio Williams, I had him earlier against River Bluff this year. This young man is dynamic with the ball in his hands. Of course, that's an SCDC first down, but great movement after the catch. And they have known him a lot. I think you'll see more of him as we go along, Jason.
He owns the school record for punt return yardage. That's what an athlete he is, beyond just what you're seeing him do on the offensive unit. 3 scores against River Bluff in that game you talked about.
Yes.
The very next week after that 3-touchdown performance by his comrade Elijah Spencer the week before. And here is Hanna stepping up. Big play opportunity for Morrison on the other side of the ball. You talked about players going both ways. Remember, he just carried the football on 4th down. Now he makes the stop on the defensive side.
Now, Dutch Fork think they can wear them down in the second half because of that, because they do have guys going both ways. And it's not a hot night. That may benefit them. But when you're going both ways against a team that's deep like Dutch Fork, it may catch up with you in the 4th quarter.
Hard to get over the driving rain. It just continues to come down. Started raining just before kickoff. Has not let up at any point in this football game.
Ball
and it's causing things like this. On cue, ball becomes slippery, but it appears as if Will Taylor was able to get back on it, and crisis is averted for Dutch Fork. That actually hit the man in motion. Yeah. It went off the body of Griff Reed, who was coming across that line.
Nobody in high school runs their tight ends in motion more than Dutch Fork High School. They run their tight end in motion on more plays than not. Usually the ball follows that man in motion. They run a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 back. And that time, the timing was off. And that was a big recovery. He recovered the fumble himself, though. Hit him in the hip. He got it back. And he brings up a 3rd and long.
So it is a 3rd down forced by the Hanna defense, and Dutch Fork is going to need the 45-yard line. Unusual scenario in this football game so far for the Silver Foxes, needing the 3rd and long conversion. And it looks like they'll get it. Caught by Antonio Williams. Beautiful route right in the heart of that Hanna defense. He has it at the 35. Move the chains. That's the South Carolina Department of Corrections first down.
Here's a look at Good, I'm sorry.
Join our team for rewarding career opportunities by visiting employment site today at joinscdc.com.
What you just saw there was the 3rd down conversion. Williams sat down in the middle of that defense, and he's the man. They use him as the closer. They're going to try to use the hammer to go on top with him.
Defense unable to get off the field for Hanna, and it will be Jarvis Green, who is off the right side. Good for a couple for this Dutch Fork squad. Dutch Fork 14-0 a year ago, 9-0 in this shortened season, dominating Region 5, 5A. The likes of River Bluff, Lexington, Chapin, and White Knoll, who joined them in that newly aligned conference. Dominating the region, dominating the state, dominating this football game right now. And here's an effort for another TD, and Elijah Spencer is tangled up. Dutch Fork wanted a flag, nothing falling thus far.
I think everybody wanted a flag on that play. Let's take a look at this play again. I'm not sure how. Let's see if this is pass interference. You call it at home. Is this pass interference right here?
Elijah Spencer tangled up with Trayvon West, the sophomore DB for Hanna. But another 3rd down coming as there was no flag. Dutch Fork this time facing a 3rd and 8 after converting on their only 3rd down of the football game a moment ago.
What was key about that last play, though, Spencer was 2 steps behind West. It was underthrown. They're going to go there again. They're beating the defensive backs of T.L. Hanna. Let's see if they go there again.
Will Taylor. The shotgun snap. This is set up underneath for Green. Green's got some room. Nice block. Springs him free for the 1st down, and he's into the red zone with a movement of the chains. That's the South Carolina Department of Corrections first down, and it puts Dutch Fork back in the Myrtle Beach Hyundai drive zone.
They still didn't get anything they wanted in the passing game, Jason. They have the screen has been available all game long. And my man knows how to do what to do with it when he gets it. Green and, of course, Spencer and Williams have been open all game.
Taylor just the right amount of touch on that last pass.
Yeah, he has done a great job.
Coming off of the tough one down the field a moment ago. Going to keep it himself this time. We'll do it with the legs inside the 15. He's down to the 12-yard line. Good first down gain for Will Taylor.
No.
Well, Will Taylor's something special. There's no doubt about it, Stacy, when you think about his athletic ability.
Absolutely. He can run it and throw it, and he's getting more comfortable in this offense. Remember, Olachuk was a 3-4-year guy in the program. I followed another guy who was a veteran. This is the first time they had a one-year guy, and it took him a while to get going. But young man is very talented running and throwing, and they're using it all here as they wind down for another championship.
Olachuk was there to watch the Sumter shutout last week.
Yep.
Text this young man after it was all over with, said, get it done, close the deal. And that's exactly what Will Taylor and company are trying to do. This down inside the 5-yard line now. Move the chains again. That's another SCDC first down for Dutch Fork.
T.L. Hanna needs a turnover right here. I mean, it's just pure simple. And the wet ball makes that possible. Remember that. There's been some mishandling of the football by both teams, but Dutch Fork a couple times once on this particular drive. Let's see if they can reach in there and pull this ball out of here. T.L. Hanna needs a play on defense, and no time better than right now with 4:18 left in the half, trailing by 15.
Now first and goal for the Silver Foxes. Hoping to build on that 21-6 advantage. All kind of defensive adjustments mirroring the motion taking place for Dutch Fork, and this time Taylor is stacked up after about a yard.
I talked about the tight ends being in motion all the time. That time they move both tight ends, and usually they run behind them. Since Tom Nelson's been at Dutch Fork, he's always had tight ends that could both bruising in the running game and had decent hands. This time he has two, and he keeps usually two on the field at all times. A lot of times that's their power set to run. That time, great job by Hanna shutting that down.
Used two big tight ends to both run and pass. We talked about the three dynamic wide receivers. Of course, Devin Hyatt going down earlier. If you missed it, certainly hope the best for that young man moving forward, but he seems to be done for the state championship game. This group working off multiple sets to come at you a variety of different ways. And this is one of the ways. Will Taylor spinning into the end zone. A rushing touchdown for Taylor. And Dutch Fork sees the lead grow to 27-6. Here's the rush's touchdown one more time.
Good job with this pirouette, little ballet move there at the goal line by Will Taylor. Showed you some power before in the game. Speed that time. He shows some nice little footwork there. Fred Astaire, for those older folks that remember that.
And had a nagging ankle injury earlier in the season,
right.
That kept him from running it much. Happened during the White Knoll game. So they didn't run him much until the playoffs came, but boy, has that changed.
Yeah.
Once the postseason arrived, ran for 2 touchdowns against Summerville to open the playoffs. Had 5 rushing touchdowns in that Carolina Forest game in round 2. And he's got the latest Dutch Fork touchdown on the ground here, making it 28-6 champs here in the second period of action.
Here's to making plans and taking that meeting outdoors. Here's to staying in, to letting the kids be kids, and socially distancing with a view. Now's a great time to visit Columbia, South Carolina, a city where being bored is not an option, a place where you can feel the Southern hospitality, and we smile with our eyes. A city open and ready to welcome you safely. Let us help you make plans to experience Columbia.
Well, you want to stay tuned in just a bit for the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control halftime report. We'll have a special interview with the commissioner of the South Carolina High School League. We talked about Jerome Singleton just a bit ago. First half highlights, a whole lot more. We want to remind you it's important that we all do our part to fight the spread of COVID-19. That's the word from South Carolina DHEC.gov/COVID-19. You can find out a whole lot more right there. 28-6 Dutch Fork over Hanna. The words that Tom Notch used when he talked earlier in the week to those of us in the media, sustained success.
Yep.
I think that defines what has been built at Dutch Fork High School in the land of the Silver Foxes.
Something else he said that resonated, and I've seen other coaches and talked to one today that he hit with. He said it's a year-long process. They had nobody miss a practice in the summer going into the season, and a lot of schools would love to duplicate that. He says if you don't show up to practice, you don't play.
He believes you challenge young men, and they flourish under those challenges.
He said they welcome it. I saw some quotes he made in talking to the media as well. He says he thinks young kids demand that you make demands of them. And I think a lot of older folks in our generation would agree with that.
So after the Johns RV Sales and Service kickoff, Hanna takes over at the 35-yard line, and the rain coming down even harder than it has been at any point in this football game so far as Hanna goes to work. And it's going to be J.J. Hudson on the carry, and he's met pretty quickly. We'll remind you that a little bit later on in tonight's contest, we're going to have our Defensive Player of the Game, brought to you by Roper St. Francis. Roper St. Francis Healthcare. May the lights shine bright on your blessings so you can count them one by one. They'll be the sponsor tonight of our Defensive Player of the Game.
Yeah, J.J. has played very well tonight. They're going to need J.J., Florida, Michael, Thelma, and James to get on board.
Bring them all, huh?
Yeah, all of them, the whole Evans family, if they're going to come back from this deficit right now, because it's an uphill battle in the driving rain, as you mentioned, down 22.
Yeah, this team, you talked about it at the start of this game, that a driving rain might favor this Hanna team because of the type of offense they run.
Absolutely.
But being down in the football game and seeing the rain get worse, not what anybody's looking for. Certainly things not going according to script. And you think about how different this game is from the game these two teams played a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Big third down right here. 3rd and 9. Hanna needs the 45-yard line. Trouble on the snap. And after picking it up, nowhere to go for Trey Horn. Swallowed up, green jerseys everywhere, bats among those there. There's a look at Edward Owusu, who was a big contributor in that game 2 years ago. They cover him up.
Chandler Perry makes the first hit right there. Owusu cleans it up, along with 91, who's played himself quite a ball game, Jason. Travis Batts has been all over the football, but the sophomore Perry made the first hit. Didn't wrap up, but he stopped the play.
Again, all that the result of the difficult snap that took place there, and Dutch Fork all over it with green jerseys everywhere. We talk about how different this game is than the contest they played in 18. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Just a minute 44 remaining in the half. 28-6 Dutch Fork.
Is your child struggling in school? Do you know a child 16 to 19 years of age who has dropped out, lacks discipline, or is on a destructive path? Then give the Will Lou Gray Opportunity School a try. The military-style school provides an alternative education to young adults in need of a second chance by offering academic instruction by state-certified teachers and job-based training. Students live on campus during the 14-week program, which is virtually free. For more information, call us or visit willlougray.org.
Well, on a wind-blown rainy night in Columbia, we welcome you back to Benedict College, where T.L. Hanna is set to kick it away on 4th and 9. A little bit of trouble here. We talked about how tough the conditions can be. Trying to make something out of nothing here is Billingsley. He's up across the 40 to the 42. Or check that, Adam Roberts, the punter, who is up to the 43, 44-yard line. He nearly turned that into something positive, but it will be Dutch Fork ball as he could not come up with enough yardage. But kudos to this young man for making something out of this.
He did. He dropped that ball, got a candy hop right there off his leg, got a little candy hop, and he showed a little, had the ball in the wrong hand. Good thing it wasn't punched out, but he showed a little burst right there. He may talk trash on the way home about that speed. Say, Coach, I need to play a little wide receiver if he has any eligibility left after this year.
Moment in the sun.
Yes.
Different conditions than 2 years ago, that is for sure. Take a look at just how hard the rain is coming down now. Both those games played on a Friday night, interestingly enough. The state championship games usually on Saturday at the 4A, 5A level. Here's another tough snap. We'll get back to that in a moment. This is on the ground and covered up beautifully, this time by Will Taylor, but that is a huge, huge loss to the 30 on this bad snap, and it's a difficult night to snap it.
And I can't even blame that one on a slippery football. That was just a high pass. Will Taylor, 6 foot. He had to be 6'6", 6'7", have a chance at that. But it's going to be a yakety sacks mix of fumbles as the game goes on here, as far as both teams have had the thing take some crazy caroms.
Yeah, second down and forever now for Dutch Fork as they need the 43-yard line of the Jackets. Yeah, interestingly enough, the game 2 years ago played on a Friday night also because of weather, that was coming in on Saturday. Played on December the 7th of 2018. So these two teams meeting on the rare Friday night games in the state championship battles.
And I didn't get to do that one because I had to do a basketball. It conflicted schedules. I wasn't able to do that one.
This is going to be plenty of running room for Will Taylor. And he's going to make it manageable on third down now as he gets into Hanna territory and up across the 50-yard line to the 46.
It was 37 yards to go, and I think he got about 20 of those or 20 plus of those back right here. Good job up front, blocking without holding, and a good tackle by West, a diving tackle. And I was told by Coach Tone that West had to play big tonight in that secondary for T.O. Hanna.
Yeah, no trouble with the wheels for Will Taylor that time.
They're going to let the half end, I think.
Third down coming. Just a few ticks remaining on that game clock. We'll see what Dutch Fork decides to do. They're not going to let the half in. At least they didn't have designs on doing it. Wanted to load up and connect with Williams for the exclamation point of this first half.
He was open.
But it's a little too long for him to grab hold of. One tick remaining.
Yeah, he was open. He's been constantly running free through the secondary, and he's a lot to handle at 5'10", 180, and got great jets and runs great routes. That's what I'm told by wide receiver technicians that I communicate with every now and then. Young was a young man fast, but he runs very, very disciplined routes at a young age.
We're talking about the contest between these two teams a couple of years ago. 59-20 the final. That was a game that was 24-20 at the half, and Dutch Fork scored 35 unanswered in the second half to pull away for the 59-20 victory. Different story in the early stages here. Dutch Fork taking command right away. And 28-6 is the lead for the Foxes on the ground on third down. That's a first down. It's of little consequence, though. It'll pad the stats. That's about all for young Mr. Jarvis Green, who had a monster first half. But Dutch Fork pleased with what they see as they glance up at the scoreboard. One half in the books on a wet night in Columbia for the 5A title game. 28-6, champs in the league.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
As long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 70 years. Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
Today's broadcast of the South Carolina State High School Football Championship, presented by Ingles Marcus. Mark Katie from
Welcome into this halftime report sponsored by South Carolina DHEC. Tonight we have with us Coach Tom Knotts. Coach, you guys are up 28-6 over TL Hanna right now. It's a monsoon, it's pouring, but the run game has been working for you guys so far.
Yeah, we've been running the ball pretty good. We're taking care of the down guys, and we're also getting to the second level. So I've been pleased with how our run game working. We're also throwing it pretty good. We've shot ourselves in the foot a couple times with the bad snap. We're not sure they can stop us, but we can stop ourselves.
Lastly, you lost Devin Hyatt, but the offense still working. Of course, the defense after that first drive tightened up. What did you say to them? What was the message for them?
Well, you know, this is a tough offense to play, and these conditions are more favorable to them than us, you know, with the double wing and the down, around, and all the power stuff. So we just challenge the defense to play like men, play like they're capable of, and they're very capable of playing great defense. So they played a couple pretty good series and got us the ball, and which has got us a decent lead right now.
24 minutes to go, Coach. Best of luck to you guys in the second half.
All right, 24 minutes. Thank you.
Sponsors of tonight's game and of this South Carolina High School League State Championship weekend, Ingles Marketplace.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're enjoying today's broadcast of the South Carolina State High School Football Championship.
Good job,
presented
Mitch.
by Ingles Markets. Mark Cady from Friday Night Rivals, joined by our good friend Melissa Lovell from Ingles Markets. Thank you so much for sponsoring today's broadcast.
It's so good to see you and our friends at WNYA. Glad to be out and about, huh?
Talk about a year of endurance. There was times back in July we didn't think we were going to be playing football, and here we are today at the pinnacle for all of these young men.
Isn't that something, the perseverance that got them here? Games canceled, games moved. I mean, just all that psyche in there to mess around with it, but everybody's ready to roll, and it is good to go.
Well, we congratulate the teams in today's broadcast and all of the people who suited up for football, for cheerleading, for band, and for so much more throughout the course of the year. Let's talk about Ingles a little bit. Why is the sponsorship of not just high school football, but high schools and communities so important to Ingles Markets?
Well, first of all, it's your destination for food and football, right? Or any kind of sports, for all that fun and food and all those things you make to make the event great. And then, of course, our stores are like little communities. They're like community clubhouses. And we go and support all of those organizations around those individual stores. We're part of the community. Those young men, some of them work at our stores. Their families work in the communities. We go to church together. All in a great big circle.
You mentioned how a lot of these students work in these Ingles stores. You know, during all these difficult times of 2020, Ingles has done a fantastic job. How many people have you hired in the year 2020?
Since the pandemic, we've hired 5,000 people and made a huge investment in the safety and well-being with the plexiglass and the ventilation system, the masking of our employees, all to keep our employees and our customers safe and happy.
Well, those are huge investments in the stores and the communities. And real quick, Ingles is the place. I mean, we're getting into that great time of year for great football. This is the place for game day.
Football, cooler weather, get yourself all the ingredients for great chili. Go to the Ingles table, find some great football recipes.
There you go. It's all happening at Ingles, your game day headquarters and proud sponsor of not just today's broadcast for high school football, but across so many communities throughout the Carolinas. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you, Mark.
Right back to the game here on My 40.
DHEC wants everyone to be safe and healthy this holiday season. If you plan to visit family or friends, be positive you're negative for COVID-19 before you go. Get tested and know your results before traveling or hosting a gathering. Visit scdhec.gov/find-a-test or call 1-855-4-SC-DHEC to find COVID-19 testing near you.
back into this halftime report sponsored by South Carolina DHEC as we bring in now the one and only Mr. Jerome Singleton, the commissioner of the South Carolina High School League. And, you know, Commissioner, it has been a long year. We talked back in March. We were uncertain what was going to happen, but fast forward 9 months, you guys have been able to get a successful fall season. There's been some bumps on the roads, but we're here at State Championship Weekend.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for being out here in this weather and even being a part of it. But it's really been a trial for us, but it's been the teamwork, and that's what it was. Teamwork by everybody involved, everybody from the schools to the officials, to my staff, to even all stakeholders, the fans, the community. It really culminated with a great experience for us. While it's raining, we still got a crowd that actually can show up.
All right, Commissioner, I appreciate you coming on with us. We appreciate you as well. Best of luck as you guys go out throughout the rest of the school year. Thank you for having us. All right, as we get ready, of course, we are dealing with COVID-19 still, and we are trying to keep everyone safe. South Carolina DHEC encourages you to stay safe, and we caught up with them earlier this week to find out what you can do as we get closer to the holidays.
I know for a lot of people, as it's December now, we're heading into the holidays. So first of all, we've seen the case numbers go up a lot. And so what can people do during this holiday season to stay safe, but also have that festive feel that a lot of people want?
Sure. So I think the most important thing is to do all those same preventive actions that we've been talking about for months now. The social distancing, if you're out in public, wearing a mask as well, practicing good hand hygiene, and making sure you stay home if you are sick, and now go out and get tested if you are feeling ill. Now with the holidays coming up, I know people are going to want to do more social activities. So I think it's important that you think about it in terms of what the risk levels are. So any activities that you can do within your own household are going to be the safest choices. So any kind of gatherings where maybe you could include other people virtually through some of the video conferencing apps is a good way to do it.
Also, going off of that, when they are in their houses, they're opening presents or whatever they're doing, do you recommend still wearing masks in those situations, even if it is just your own household? Or?
Well, if it's people who are in your own household that you're around routinely anyway, that's not necessarily precaution unless it's a precaution that you're taking anyway. Really, it's the risk comes up when you're involving people who from different households. So that's when the consideration needs to be made.
Awesome. Okay, that's all I have for you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And thanks for all you guys do, man. You guys are the true heroes.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Back at the South Carolina High School League Football Championship at the 5A level. The broadcast presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Well, it's a 22-point lead at the half, 28-6 officially for Dutch Fork. Here's how we got here, Stacy. A whole bunch of Jarvis Green.
Yeah, the highlights are color-coded. Jarvis Green on one side. We throw a little Brownlee in for Hanna, but mainly the sophomore tailback. Jarvis Green wears number 4, and he was hitting the pay dirt for 6, and here's Brownlee again. We mentioned the brown portion of our color-coded highlights. Brownlee had a big run early in the game. Of course, set up a touchdown that time for number 33, Cabral Morrison. And it's the big play. Unfortunately, Devin Hyatt, the outstanding sophomore receiver, got injured on the play, but it set up this Will Taylor run, and Will Taylor has shown you the arm and the wheels in the first half. That was his moment in the case of Hyatt. Then it was more Jarvis Green. Already a 100-yard rushing performance for Green. 7 carries, 103 yards personally. He has been the story on the Dutch Fork side of things. No doubt about it. This Dutch Fork team out-rushing T.L. Hanna, 179-127. Maybe a little bit of a surprising stat as we take a look at the numbers. Total yardage, they've more than doubled them up. Both teams had a turnover. Of course, the bottom category right there, that score is huge. It's a big deficit for a running team in T.L. Hanna, but Dutch Fork firmly in control as they go for 5. Well, it is time to check in with Mitch. Let's go field side. Take it away, Mitch.
It's about blocking and tackling, and we've got a whole nother half to play. Anything that could go wrong went wrong, and we've got to try and make corrections.
All right, best of luck to you guys in the second half.
All right, thanks so much.
Jason Tone talking about getting back to the basics. His team down 28-6 at the intermission. Second half on the other side of the break.
Here's to making plans and taking that meeting outdoors. Here's to staying in, to letting the kids be kids, and socially distancing with a view.
Now's a great time to visit Columbia, South Carolina.
A city where being bored is not an option. A place where you can feel the Southern hospitality, and we smile with our eyes. A city open and ready to welcome you safely. Let us help you make plans to experience Columbia.
Well, just about set for the second half at Charlie Johnson Stadium on the campus of Benedict College in the state capitol. Fans certainly entertained tonight, trying their best to stay dry in this 5A state championship game. Both teams scoring on their opening possession of the contest, but it has been all Dutch Fork since. 3 more possessions that found pay dirt for the Silver Foxes and that man, Tom Knotts, very pleased with what he saw from his team in the first half. They carry a 22-point advantage into the third quarter. Now, Dutch Fork touched the football first, Stacy, so T.L. Hanna will get a chance for a tone-setting drive here in the third quarter.
Oh, look at you.
And it becomes very critical for T.L. Hanna that they get some kind of points. We've said it a couple of times here.
Did you hit me with a tone? Did you hit me with a tone setting?
Never more than ever for T.L. Hanna right here. This brings me to adjustments. Let's go back and revisit kind of the thought process of the Eagles' food for thought in terms of keys. What do you see as the adjustment here that need to be made on both sides just ahead of our second half kickoff? Of course, if always, this one brought to you by John's RV Sales and Service.
We talked about Dutch Fork wanting to score early and often. Check on that one. And of course, you know, the upset bid has been derailed a little bit for the first half from Hanna. They got to maintain time of possession and have long drives.
Now, the Hanna folks would like to see as a start of that. It's going to happen from well inside the 20-yard line if that's the case, as the return man is covered up just across the 15. And here comes that offense under the direction of the sophomore quarterback, Trey Horn. T.L. Hanna, we talked so many times about when these two teams met a couple of years ago in 18. Of course, that was the night that you talk about big quarterbacks. Ty Olenchuk for Dutch Fork throwing that night for 294 yards, 3 touchdowns, also rushed for a touchdown. And, think about the quarterbacks we've seen in this one, the job that has been done by Will Taylor, the senior for Dutch Fork tonight already, with some impressive numbers, 147 yards through the air. We talked about what Dutch Fork has done on the ground, but it is falling right now on the shoulders of the 10th grade quarterback to settle things down for Hanna here, Stacy.
The rain has slowed down a little bit as well at this point. I noticed the rain is not as forceful coming down in sheets like it was earlier. That may be a benefit to this team who relies a lot on ball handling. Horn had a decent run that time. I'm still sitting over shaking my head, and my guy Jason Patterson hit me with a tone setting just then.
Hey, think about this.
You did that.
Something else, just a little idea here.
Yeah.
Not a single pass thrown by T.L. Hanna. Now, they don't do that a lot anyway, but did not throw a single pass in the first half. Just something to keep an eye on if and when that will take place. Talked about the numbers for the counterpart of Trey Horn, the job that's been done by Will Taylor, 6 of 8, 147 yards in the first half, including the 57-yard connection. But the job done on the ground to get the chains moving here for T.L. Hanna. That's the initial first down of the third quarter, fresh set at the 29-yard line.
This is a big drive. We talked about this off air, but this first drive of the third quarter is huge. Time is not really the enemy quite yet of Hanna, but it will be soon. And they get a first down on the first 2 plays. That's big. They can get a first down every 2 plays. That still fits their modus operandi.
Well, and this is a team that when they're clicking on all cylinders, it's 3 or 4 yards per play and just methodically work your way down the field until, as is the case in this Delaware wing T offense so often, you find that spot where you catch the defense off guard and pop a big one somewhere along the way. Hasn't happened aside from the early rush that saw DJ Brownlee break loose. Well, here it is, looking as if there might be something downfield. Horn showed signs of perhaps throwing one of the few passes on the year, but he rushes it to the far side. If you're wondering, 21 attempts all season long in the passing game for T.L. Hanna. You know what they do. Everybody knows what they do. The question is, how well are they able to control things on the ground game? And it comes down to third downs like this as Coach Tone looks on. Second-year head coach there at T.L. Hanna. Trying to get his team rolling on the opening drive of the third quarter. It's going to be kept by Horn. It's turning into a pretty big play. Gets him into Dutch Fork territory at the 47-yard line. That's going to be a movement of the chains.
Got a player down. Brownlee, number 24, he took the fake. He's going to limp off the field. Watch Brownlee, number 24, gets hit right there. He limped off the field, got hit right at the knee. And good job running and being patient behind the blockers by the young quarterback, the sophomore, Trey Horn.
It's the Will Lou Gray Opportunity School first down. Will Lou Gray, a rich tradition of individualized learning.
Good size on the young sophomore, 6'2". 175.
Seeing Brownlee, Hudson, Johnson, Carroll along the way, doing work on the ground in support of Horn, who gives it off this time to J.J. Hudson.
Ball came
out. Dutch Fork saying they have the football. And no indication from our officials. Looks like they're going to mark the ball carrier down at around the 44.
Landon Danley, the younger of the Danley brothers, of the sophomore, good-looking young sophomore. He has a bright future. Watch at the end of this run. The ball pops out right at the end. I think he may have been down. Yeah, he was on the ground, had his hips on the ground. They came out. Good job by Wicker once again making the first contact. He's had a busy evening for Dutch Fork. Number 38, the junior.
Yeah, already wrestled to the ground by Wicker, who had 80 tackles coming in
for
play. Dutch Fork. And unable to get away, Cam Johnson is met by Trace Danley. You talked about Landon Danley a moment ago. Here's Trace Danley. Yeah, that 95-yard fumble return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Watch this.
To seal the playoff win over Carolina Forest. Here's another big moment for him.
This play right here. He takes the block and knocks him into the ball carrier. That is an outstanding play by the cornerback.
Well, it makes you think for a moment about the defensive play of the game. It's going to be coming up a little later on tonight. Here is Horn, third down and long. Here's that pass, and it's in and out of the hands of his intended target. Just could not quite gather it up. Was Hunter, who was Hanna's first targeted receiver on the night.
Jason, when you throw the ball less than 30 times all season, you cannot understand the receivers treating it like a foreign object when it comes out, almost like a UFO, unidentified flying object. And this is why they don't throw a lot. They don't work on it, and that time the ball just simply carried off the hands, almost picked off.
Horn put it there, but just couldn't gather it in on the initial contact. Could the intended target Hunter, and now set to kick it away is Adam Roberts.
That's a big stop.
And 6 of these inside the 20 on the year does Roberts. This one's going to be caught at the 27. Dutch Fork able to take over. So Hanna coming up empty on the opening drive of the third period. First touch of the football this half for the Silver Foxes when we return to Columbia.
For every moment, for every memory, from that first car to your first home, to your first child, and all the highs and lows that tomorrow might bring. For everything that matters most to you and your family, there's someone right around the corner dedicated to helping you protect what you love. Your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Farm Bureau Insurance. Real service, real people.
Well, at the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll have the South Carolina Department of Corrections Player of the Game. A reminder, you can join their team for a rewarding career opportunity visiting the employment website today at joinscdc.com. Number of big-time candidates already, and what can you say about the job Will Taylor has done, the senior quarterback coming over for his senior campaign, trying to lead Dutch Fork to its latest title.
Can't beat that slide over for 1 year, get you a quick chip, and head up to Clemson. Not a bad little run for the young fellow.
Yeah, first half numbers, 147 yards through the air, had a 57-yard pass the long, and then, of course, on the ground, close to 100 yards there, a couple of touchdowns to his credit. And it's going to be kept across the 33-34 by Jarvis Green. He is, if you missed it at halftime, leading rusher on both sides. He had a 100-yard rushing night in the first half, 7 carries for 103 yards prior to this, his first carry of the third quarter.
Yeah, my ciphering tells me that's a lot of yards per carry. Lower number of carries and a high number of yards, but young man has a bright future. I mentioned only a 10th grader, and again, a basketball player as well at Dutch Fork, 2-sport star. And again, he and Will Taylor have been pretty much the story for Dutch Fork.
Yeah, it was right at 15 yards a clip, just to answer that in the first half of action. Ball's on the ground again, but it's covered up by Will Taylor. Of course, you've referenced it, alluded to it a couple of times. For those of you that maybe are just finding us, Will Taylor, who covers this up nicely, he's committed to Clemson to play baseball. He is the #1 ranked baseball prospect in the state of South Carolina. Tigers also throwing in a football opportunity for him there with the way things have gone of late. And the wind picking up here.
Rain going left to right now.
What Stacy's trying to tell you about, and you can see it on your screen. Look at how heavy the rain continues to come down, and it is swirling.
It is.
As third down is upcoming for Dutch Fork. Pitch out to Jarvis Green. And Green is going to be up near the marker. Let's see exactly where they spot this, because he's right at the first down marker. He's saying he's got it. Let's see what the officials say.
He didn't get a great spot there, but they also had moved the chains. They said
it is going to be a first down. They go ahead and signal it's a Will Lou Gray first down. Will Lou Gray, a rich tradition of individualized learning. Proud sponsors of our first downs tonight, first and third quarter.
Another time we see good patience by Taylor. Wait until the last possible second to pitch that ball.
Yeah, we're talking about him maybe picked up in the MLB draft in June at some point, but his whole focus on football tonight. And with the heaviest rain of the night, he rolls out, puts one in the sky for Williams,
and he
could not quite keep the feet in bounds. You talked about what a special player he is, though, Stacy. Here's a guy who's getting offers from coast to coast.
Take a look right here. He was open again. Look at that wobbly pass, the slippery ball. And, you know, I don't know if that one foot might have not been in. Let's see if that foot is in right there. That left foot might have been in, but they call it incomplete. And good job that time by T.L. Hanna. T.L. Hanna, still enough time for them to come back. They need to get off the field right here, 2nd and 10. 2 good plays here. They need the ball back.
2nd down and 10. Well, you've heard me say it increasingly as the night has gone along, but hardest rain of the night. And not swirling like it was a moment ago, but coming down heavily.
They're going to start getting two of every animal soon if we don't.
As you can no doubt tell. Here comes the 2nd down play. And Taylor unable to get away. That's covered up beautifully on the far side, and among others there for T.L. Hanna to make the stop is Alonzo Brown, a junior defender. Boy, you just see how tough it is just to try and stay dry. The short's still there, though. Tom Knotts with the trademark, though he has decided to don the rain jacket ahead of this 3rd down play.
Yeah, they got him out of that T-shirt that time that the rain did.
Well, 3rd down. Dutch Fork defense getting off the field on Hanna's first drive of the 3rd quarter. Can this T.L. Hanna defense return the favor? Something that has been a rarity tonight for Hanna. And Will Taylor on 3rd and 10. He's got some room. Not nearly enough to get to the sticks, though, and 4th down is coming. So T.L. Hanna defensively with a stop to answer the Dutch Fork stop.
Good job that time. Let's give some love to number 49 right there that really made that play. Mel Sullivan. Mel Sullivan, a senior linebacker, got to the ball, got the man on the ground, did all his assignments correctly, and big play.
Some impact plays on that drive. We will have the Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina play of the game in the 4th quarter tonight. Stay tuned. Find out which play is the Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. You're a neighbor, not a number. Play of the game.
Is this Dutch Fork's first punt of the game?
That's what I say. It's been very, very rare to see this squad get Dutch Fork off the field. And it's going to be the first time that it's happening of this variety of Dutch Fork kicking it away. 4th down. Standing back to kick it at his own 30-yard line is C.J. Wicker, but
it's the delay of game.
Before we get there, you called it, delay of game with 3:55 to go, 3rd quarter. And about to get the football back. But
see the kids having a good time there. Smells like team spirit.
Well, when it's a state championship game, the weather's not going to bother you quite that much. It's a lifetime memory.
Especially if your team is up. The rain, nothing is bad when your team is winning. Yeah. The rain is not as bad for them as it is on the other side.
Feels a lot better on the home side right now. Yes. Wicker able to pick it up and get rid of it, and he booms one inside the 10-yard line. It's going to take a nice bounce and then go into the end zone. Not quite able to get there and kill it was Trace Danley, despite the valiant effort, and it'll come out following the touchback with a heavy rain falling, and neither team getting anything done on their first drive of the 3rd. We leave you for a moment.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
but as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
As long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 70 years. Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
Well, Dutch Fork still boasting that 28-6 advantage, but having punted the football for the very first time in the game, and T.L. Hanna taking over after the touchback on the punt. And the weather is much of a story right now as anything else. As heavy rain falls, makes it a little difficult even to see through the camera lens at times as they are led to the charge by Trey Horn. Horn rolling out. He's got a blocker out in front of him. Is able to make the cut to get near the sticks. He's down, looks like around the 28, 29-yard line. We'll see where they spot this, but pretty good first down yardage for Trey Horn. Clock becoming a factor now, though. You know, Hanna, a team that's used to having some lengthy drives here and there, Stacy, in order to claw back or, in most cases across the course of this year, remain ahead. But this has been a resilient team. They've come back from behind, even in the playoffs. But now you look at the time on the clock, it's got to start happening right now for Hanna.
He didn't get out of bounds that last play either. Got close to it, but the clock kept running.
There's J.J. Hudson, and he's going to push the pile. And across the 30-yard line, that's going to be a first down.
That will stop the clock.
We
for
talked about both of the groups up front. Let's give a little love to Caleb Gard, Jahari Cowser, Charles Couch, the center, Ty Moorhead, Brandon Edwards. This offensive line, the strength of this Hanna team, they get the job done right there.
Absolutely. Good job up front. They deserve some love up there. Couch right there, the center. He and the rest of his mates have played well. Again, they just haven't been able to stop Dutch Fork.
So much of it going to rest on their shoulders if Hanna's able to turn this into a fruitful drive, make it interesting heading into the fourth quarter. It's kept on the ground to the 35, as you might expect, right on that far hash.
Brownlee.
Another pretty good first down carry, this time by D.J. Brownlee.
Yeah, Brownlee limped off earlier, and good to see him back in there, 5'11", 175-pound senior. He's made some plays for his team.
Been their finisher.
Yeah.
6 touchdowns on the year. Of course, you remember had the 37-yard run. Talked about down to the 1-yard line, set it all up for the come-from-behind victory over Northwestern on the road at District 3 Stadium to get him here. And here's Horn, going to hand off the middle once more, right in the middle of all those big, big bodies. Crawling on out of there is Gabe Wise. He's been in the thick of things tonight. You see Jaquan Moore right there in the interior of that defense. And how many times have we called C.J. Wicker's name? Yeah. And we'll continue to.
Yeah, Wicker's definitely a leader in this team as a junior linebacker. Again, getting better and better in his career. 44 you just mentioned there. Wise has been very active. Also another senior, 5'10", 185. He wants the crowd to get a little rowdy right here.
3rd down and 3. Billy Ray Moss way out here away from everyone near the sideline. It's going to stay in the interior and sneaking on through for the first down is Trey Horn on the keeper, and that'll move the chains once again.
He's going to signal the first down, help the officials out a little bit there. Tough young sophomore. Good ball handler, though. He's fooled cameras, ball players, and this one announcer right here, myself, a couple times with his ball handling. You know, he has the hands of a juggler.
And orchestrating that Delaware wing T offense on the first down play.
Guess who?
Yep.
Chandler Perry.
Not much room. Perry right back there. You're right.
Let me point this out. Gerald Perry, former Drury High School standout who played for the Denver Broncos. This is his nephew. Chandler Perry is Gerald. If y'all remember, Gerald Perry came out of Columbia and played for the Denver Broncos for many years. This is his nephew, Chandler, right here. A sophomore, bright future. Good job.
High standard, good low tackle as he stays down and is able to upend the ball carrier. Second down, under a minute to go in the third quarter of action. Here's Horn. Looking for a seam. There is one up near midfield, but another third down is coming for T.L. Hanna. Player down for a moment, but it looks like he's going to pop up quickly.
Yeah, that was our guy, Travis Batts, who's been all over the field, 6'3", 240, senior defensive lineman. He's been very, very active for Dutch Fork.
There you can see he's good to go.
Yep. He'll be back next play, run play off.
15 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Down to 5 seconds. Will Horn get a play off before the third quarter comes to a close? It'll be J.J. Hudson. He will not have enough to get the first down. His forward progress going to make it 4th and about 3 when the fourth quarter arrives.
Yeah, it was a team meeting held on him that time. That's Perry, among others.
So the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes with a mind toward a 50th consecutive victory and a 5th straight South Carolina 5A state title. Now 1 quarter away from getting it done.
It's footlong season at Subway, and Manytron's got some new news. Contactless curbside pickup is here. Just tap for Tasty in the app and pick up contactless. Because it's safety first, right, Tiny Car? You wearing your seatbelt, little man? Subway, eat fresh. It's footlong season at Subway. It's footlong season at Subway. Sub out those greasy wings and get that new Subway Buffalo Chicken or that new barbecue chicken. Oh, that's sweet. Freshly made footlong coming in hot. Now, only in the Subway app, get a free footlong when you buy 2. Subway, eat fresh.
"17 teams in the history of the state of South Carolina have won 3 championships in a row. 6 teams have won 4 championships in a row. No public high school has ever won 5 championships in succession. That's what Dutch Fork is trying to do. 12 minutes away from it, perhaps. One of the reasons, the play tonight of that young man, and he is a candidate, is C.J. Wicker for the Roper Street Francis Defensive Player of the Game. Roper's St. Francis Healthcare. May the lights shine bright on your blessings so you can count them one by one. Again, that's Roper St. Francis Healthcare, sponsor of tonight's Defensive Player of the Game. Will it be him? Will someone else step up in the fourth quarter? Time will tell, but rare air and history here perhaps coming, and a big 4th down for T.L. Hanna to try and keep the drive alive here at the start of the fourth quarter.
They got it.
And it is just enough to move the chains. That was a had to have it for Hanna.
Yeah, what I was going to say a minute ago when you said that about the field, you're saying that Dutch Fork is trying to plead the 5th?
They could be pleading the 5th. The 4th championship has been secured by the likes of Florence, Woodruff, Burns, Christchurch, Dillon, and Abbeville. But 5, that would be a little bit different. Think about this. Florence from 16 to 19. Yeah, we're talking about all the way back in the day. Woodruff in the 70s. Burns in the early 2000s. Christchurch from 11 to 14. And Dillon from 12 to 15 with Abbeville 15 to 18, that streak that was broken a year ago.
Yeah.
Here's Dutch Fork. They've won every 5A title there has been since 2016.
I got to call those Christchurch titles as well. I got to be a part of it. And actually, they were won right here at Benedict.
Yep.
That's back when Benedict was doing the 1 and 2A each and every year, and they would just still do. But back then, they were done, and Christchurch had a great run and got a chance to see all of Dutch Fork's title games except the one 2 years ago against this very same T.L. Hanna program.
Against Hanna. We had Corey Miller in the booth that night.
Yes,
a night in which this moment in the game, the early stages of the fourth quarter, is where Dutch Fork pulled away in a close one. Different story tonight. Hanna trying to claw back early fourth. This will help. Another 1st down. What a gutsy run by Trey Horn. And with 10 and a half left to go, keep the drive alive for Hanna. Yes, there are many steps to be taken between here and tightening things up, but this is certainly the first of them with the South Carolina Department of Corrections first down to the 33-yard line.
The thing is, it's just taking so long.
These
drives are so long.
Had to be the concern for the fans from Anderson, South Carolina, a place you're very familiar with.
Very familiar with Anderson, South Carolina. I still spend Christmases up there. My late wife was from there. Was a West Side High graduate, but a lot of her family attended T.L. Hanna. Matter of fact, let me shout out Chestina and Robert Humphrey, two of my favorite human beings on the planet, watching tonight from up in.
I know you get to the jockey lot from time to time. Make sure you find you a good deal here and there.
I was first taken to the jockey lot back in the late 80s on a visit home from college, so I know all about the jockey lot. There's a Wusu and lip off right there.
Yeah, that's a Wusu. You know, he in the fourth quarter of that contest 2 years ago had the big play after that 93-yard scoop and score from Tyreek McDaniel. It was a Wusu who had an 11-yard of his own scoop and score that really allowed Dutch Fork to pull away. This is incomplete. That's just the second passing attempt of the football game for Trey Horn and company. And think about that. How often do you see what we saw 2 years ago from the Dutch Fork defense when the game was still undecided? A 93-yard scoop and score by McDaniel, then an 11-yard scoop and score that created the big-time separation in that fourth quarter. That was from Owusu, made it 45-20. Rest is history in that 59-20 win. The margin not quite that right now, but a big third down coming for Hanna as Dutch Fork is trying to salt one more title away. Here's Cam Johnson. And fourth down is coming for Hanna yet again on this drive. Yeah, they're still having some fun down around the 24.
Offensive linemen for T.R. Hanna do a great job of playing through the whistle, which is totally okay, and love the physical style of football. And, of course, sometimes you want to take exception to that, but that's the way they teach them. That's the way they play, and the linemen just enjoyed a little extra at the end of that, finishing off a physical block. And then we have a player down. I believe this might be the young sophomore that's played well, Chandler Perry, number 29.
It's beginning to come in groups for Dutch Fork all of a sudden here, Stacy.
It really is. And, time, it's a battle of attrition with 9:20 to play in the game. Dutch Fork, he's got some guys. Wusu limped off. He's going to come back in, it looks like. And now Perry, they're working on his left leg and maybe a cramp. It looks like they're stretching it out like it's a cramp.
Yeah, hopefully nothing serious. In this case will break away while they tend to the injured Silver Fox. Back with the balance of the fourth quarter on the other side of this break. Well, it's footlong season at Subway, official partner of the South Carolina High School League. Reminding you, visit your local Subway. Now, rain continuing to fall here on the campus of Benedict College. Another fourth down for T.L. Hanna. What hope remains for Hanna hinging on this play as they still find themselves down 3 scores with 9:20 to go. And on the rollout, able to elude the initial tackler, but this is tipped, broken up, and there to get the job done for Dutch Fork when they need it most is Gabe Wise, and it's a turnover on downs as the Silver Foxes will have the football.
Wise making the smart play here, if I may. Got both hands on it, as a matter of fact, and that was a good job. He kind of read the quarterback's eyes at the time. Ball looks like it was intended for Brownlee, and Wise was in the right place at the right time, the senior. He's played well. He's had a good game.
Gabe Wise, one of the many you have to mention on the defensive side of the ball. Perry, who we saw trot off earlier. Of course, the good news for Dutch Fork, aside from the injury to Devin Hyatt early in this game, just about everybody else appearing as if they're able to continue after a brief stoppage for those injuries, which is a good sign. Here's Jarvis Green. Remember, he dominated the game on the ground in the first half, and now knowing time is their friend, Dutch Fork keeping the football on the ground.
High IQ play by a 10th grader. He could have been selfish and wanted to go for more yards, go out of bounds, whatever, just to get a little extra, but he just nicely laid down like he had a pallet on the floor, if you will, took a little nap.
Kept it churning.
Got the clock moving.
Kept the clock churning at the 8:45 mark. Boy, you think about this Dutch Fork dynasty. You think about the last several years, Ty Olenchuk now at Clemson, Jalen Hyatt, mentioned the unfortunate injury to Devin Hyatt, his brother now at Tennessee, where Bryce Thompson also landed, Mr. Football, Matt Colburn. You go back through the years, all the way back to even the start of this program back in '92, and Eric Kimry, who ended up at the University of South Carolina. Tyler Bass now kicking for the Buffalo Bills. All facets of the game, the impact has been felt from this Dutch Fork program from back in 1992 until now. You think about how quickly they have become such a force in South Carolina, and now beginning to feel it, are they, as the clock dips toward 8 minutes to play with that latest of the first downs. This the South Carolina Department of Corrections first down, and it's up at the 47-yard line for Dutch Fork.
That's a good field area.
Yeah, you look down there and see those uniforms, Stacy, and all those visions come back of those players who've been such a part of building Coach Knott's program. And it's been with plays, it's been with games, it's been with hard-fought battles, just like the one we've seen tonight.
Interesting, you're right. And it's been a long journey, and to get here, and history is going to be made tonight, it looks like. But it looks like right now, Dutch Fork is trying to give T.L. Hanna a dose of their own medicine. They're going to try to kill this whole ball game in this one drive. They're going to take their time and try to give T.L. Hanna the ball back with as little football game left as possible.
Certainly running the clock, and as we told you earlier, it would be 50 in a row for the four-time state champions if they're able to taste victory tonight. Here's another South Carolina Department of Corrections first down. Again, you can join their rewarding team. What a rewarding career it can be. Check out joinscdc.com for more information. And, yeah, here's what you do. Stacy, you let that clock roll on down before the next snap at the 7-minute mark if you're Dutch Fork, 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line of the Jackets.
They're massaging that play clock.
Dutch Fork scoring on the opening drive of the game. They've kept the pressure applied since. And Taylor, he'll eventually be swallowed up on the far side after the difficult snap. There on the scene to ultimately make the tackle was Fletcher Cothran. He came in with 43 tackles, 6 for loss, a couple of sacks, a forced fumble, 2 passes broken up, and he was in pursuit after Taylor had trouble with the snap. But that's a moment where you give Taylor credit for gathering that back up and averting anything further.
Baseball players showed great heads that time, but good play by Cothran. He's only, as you mentioned, a junior. He comes back next year now, so this T.L. Hanna program has some talented young players in it. They'll be back and looking for more next year, but a good run once again as the clock is at 6:12.
You saw him on offense. You saw him on defense. This is a Hanna team. They're trying to put together one of the better comebacks of the year to try and win what would be a first state title. This is a team played for it in 74, 2018, and now again here in 2020. They've won a number of region titles, 15 of them from the 70s on, but it's been tough thus far tonight. 28-6 has been the Dutch Fork score for a while. That's where it sits with 6.
Is your child struggling in school? Do you know a child 16 to 19 years of age who has dropped out, lacks discipline, or is on a destructive path? Then give the Will Lou Gray Opportunity School a try. The military-style school provides an alternative education to young adults in need of a second chance by offering academic instruction by state-certified teachers and job-based training. Students live on campus during the 14-week program, which is virtually free. For more information, call us or visit willlougray.org.
Weekend of Champions in Columbia. Wet start to the Weekend of Champions, but a lot more to come. The 1A contest on Saturday, Southside Christian in Lakeview, 11:30. Of course, the 2A game between Marion and Abbeville, the latest to be affected by COVID. It's been moved to the 18th of this month. This week, seeing some difficulty in getting that one played. Of course, we'll have the 3A and 4A games on air tomorrow. Camden versus Daniel over at Spring Valley in the middle of the afternoon, and then the 4A contest between Columbia's own AC Flora and North Myrtle Beach, 7:30 kickoff tomorrow night right here as well. You don't want to miss the Weekend of Champions here in Columbia. Well, the champions across the last 4 years in 5A in control as they keep it on the ground to try and run that clock, this time in the hands of the talented senior and Charlotte commit Elijah Spencer. He's barely got to change his colors when he goes across the state line to play for the 49ers, Stacy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a young man who is highly coveted. I think he'll go there and do great things. I know other even bigger schools are now still knocking on his door, still trying to call him up. I think he may stay there, but he's going to have a great career wherever he goes. And just give a shout out to the offensive staff of Dutch Fork and Coach Pelham on the defensive side of the ball. They came out and against a difficult defense to prepare for. Everyone agrees on that. 28-6. And, Hanna, of course, came in physical and tough as we expected. They acquitted themselves well, but good job on both coaching staffs to get ready for this ball game. And again, and to manage the season, Jason Patterson, to manage the season to get here in the COVID protocols to get to a conclusion last Friday night of the season.
Well, it's like we talked about in the Open, having a season was a win.
Absolutely, because I was doubtful myself.
And then tonight to be able to crown a champion. I mean, we heard Jerome Singleton, the director of the South Carolina High School League, say it. There were times where he thought this season wouldn't even be played. More than one occasion.
Yes.
But these teams, these coaches, and the communities
Absolutely.
all having
all
battled through, doing what is necessary to say, well, we'll make that one up next week. Maybe we'll play on Tuesday. Maybe we'll play on Thursday. Maybe we'll get together on Saturday morning, and somehow they were able to get the games in, and what a rewarding year for these teams and all the teams around the state that were able to play. Got to remember, half the teams is another nice job done there just to continue to gather it up and manage the game by Will Taylor. Half the teams across the country didn't get to play high school football this year. What a pleasure it was here in the Palmetto State to be able to get that done.
One state away, North Carolina didn't play. So we're very fortunate to get to this point. They got to be grateful for every play.
Talk about how manageable it has been for Will Taylor. What a nice job the senior quarterback has done after transferring over. He's shown you the skills with that strong baseball arm through the air. He's also been able to do it on the ground for Dutch Fork. In doing so, he has become tonight's player of the game. The Roper St. Francis defensive player of the game still to come, but we now know who the player of the game on the offensive side is going to be. It's Dutch Fork's Will Taylor. What a night he had.
Absolutely. He did it by leg, did it by arm. SCDC player of the game, well earned. And Ben Lippin transfer came over for one reason, well, really two reasons: to have an outstanding baseball finish to his career and outstanding football career. So one of that is in the books. He'll get a title as a Dutch Fork quarterback. Now baseball still ahead. Hopefully he gets that season as well. And this young man really living the dream right now with Clemson already in his pocket.
He is the South Carolina Department of Corrections player of the game. Once again, the story, if you missed it earlier, Tommy Knott's wife, the dental hygienist for his father. The families having known each other from the youngest days of Will Taylor. After such success at Ben Lippin, seemed like the right fit. It looks like it's going to culminate in a championship for that young man, and the latest for Dutch Fork. T.O. Hanna still out there battling. You talked about it, what a year they've had, what a future there is under second-year head coach Jason Tone as well for the Hanna Jackets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the future is very bright at T.O. Hanna. As I mentioned, hard off Highway 81 up in Little A-Town, Anderson, South Carolina. And I think they have things rolling the way they need to. 2 championship appearances in 3 years. Not bad. I know they want to get over this hump, but they have acquitted themselves very well. They have a lot to be proud of up in Anderson.
Played for the title under Jeff Herron, who crossed over from Georgia, brought Jason Tone with him, who was in his second year as head coach, went 7-3 a year ago, unbeaten to the state title game this year, and his team battling in the middle of the field. It's going to stay with Hanna at 3:24 left to go. They lost to Malden in the first round of the playoffs last year, so this is certainly improvement in his second season, and we'll see what the building blocks look like moving forward. I mean, think about it. Trey Horn, who's still right there on the heart of your screen in these moments and had done such a nice job tonight at the quarterback position for Hanna, he's just a sophomore. So you talk about a bright future, that certainly is a part of it. Now, Noah Hamby out there now under center, getting some state championship game experiences. Had 7 rushes on the year, had 2 of those rushes translate into touchdowns for Noah Hamby, who is seeing some snaps in the prime time of the state championship environment for T.L. Hanna as the clock dips under 2:40 to play.
Yeah, 6'1", 160. Earlier we saw Ryan Stewart with a put up what he thought was a fumble. The ball was dead. Ryan Stewart, we hadn't called his name a lot. He's been injured back tonight. They've been one of the leaders on the Dutch Fork team, one of the keys to them all year, and banged up a little bit. But back to Hanby. He's a senior. Good to see. It's a good touch to get him in the ball game.
Absolutely.
At this point in time, classy move by Coach Tone.
Absolutely. The bright lights on, and he gets that state championship memory. 4th down, and Hanby will roll out. Able to elude the first tackler, nothing beyond that. Dutch Fork will take over once again, and Owusu back, and Owusu in the thick of it.
Well,
first down coming for Dutch Fork.
He stood over him and taunted him. Owusu's a senior. You don't necessarily want that.
Flag comes in.
And he got pushed in the back by a Hanna player, but he was fitting his player. Owusu was taunting, and you don't want that. Now let's see if they got Owusu, who was the first culprit. It should be on Owusu for taunting.
Yeah, it is down at the 50-yard line, and the official's standing over top of it.
Let's see where they go with this.
It's going to go against Dutch Fork, and where the Silver Foxes would have been off the field.
Yeah.
And having it up near midfield is instead going to be their ball back at the 37-yard line.
It's a dead ball foul, so it doesn't affect
absolutely.
the play. So
but not the field position they would have had were it not for the penalty. But now you're just looking at the clock and running it out. And let's begin to put this in perspective, Stacy, of what this run for Dutch Fork has been from 2016 on. The first state championship for Coach Knotts and Dutch Fork came in 13. They came back in 16, won another. Every championship since has gone to Irmo in the land of the Silver Foxes.
Well, I want to point out something. They were 1-1. They beat Sumter, you mentioned in 13. They actually lost to Hillcrest. I think that loss to Hillcrest is what springboarded this 5-peat that we're about to see right now, because I think they regalvanized themselves. And looking at history being made right now, they are really going to plead the 5th with a win tonight.
Yeah, you think about the year. They started it out with a 66-0 victory over White Knoll, defeated Chapin 51-12, a 41-7 win over River Bluff, 55-13 over Lexington. They shut out Spring Valley 21-0. 35-7 was the South Point score. Then in the playoffs, Somerville, Carolina Forest, Sumter in succession, 42-7, 63-42, 24-0, and now here in complete control at 28-6. With 1:24 to go. Here comes a second down play. Just a matter of salting this one away now, as Will Taylor gives off and gives us a chance now to look at our Blue Cross Blue Shield play of the game at Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. You're a neighbor, not a number. Here it is, Stacy, the play of the game tonight.
And it was young man, the sophomore Jarvis Green, who was definitely a candidate for player of the game as well. Great patience, good late pitch by Taylor. And Green set a tone early, running inside and outside. And it was the play of the game brought to you by South Carolina, by Blue Cross and Blue Shield and the South Carolina Medical Advantage. And again, great job by the backfield and the line of Dutch Fork all night.
Under a minute to go. No other 5A champion has been crowned since the South Carolina High School League expanded to the 5A classification in 2016. There have been many in pursuit of this Dutch Fork program, but their sustained success has earned them not just rare air. The Silver Foxes are going to stand alone in South Carolina history. They're 10 seconds away from a 5th consecutive title, a 50th straight victory, and with the clock winding down, they can now say it's official. Dutch Fork has won each of the 5A titles, and they've done something no public institution has ever done at the high school level in the Palmetto State. They've won 5 straight championships.
And you saw some emotion there. That was from the social media trash talk earlier in the week. That's why I thought you might get that at the end of the game. But this is, as you said, the rarest air of all, doing something unprecedented, unheard of. Congratulations to Coach Tom Knotts and the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes.
Well, as we said, it opened in 1992. Bill Kimry at the helm. Tom Knotts came around in 2010. They appeared in the lower state and able to get it done in 2013, and from 16 on, it's been nobody but Tommy Knotts and company, and he is now standing by with our Mitch Brown. Mitch?
Coach, nobody in the state of South Carolina has ever won 5 times in a row. This one, you won 4 in a row. This one has to feel the sweetest.
One for the thumb. The guys played great. We just did ball control in the second half, and the conditions were horrible. I've never played anything like this before, but hats off to our guys for showing some real toughness and resilience in this kind of weather.
You've never played in a season like this ever before.
Well, it's been a very unusual season. We tried to make things as normal as possible, but we said we were going to be here, and it wasn't enough just to be here. We had to win it, and I'm so proud of them. We pressured them all year to get here and to do it, and they did a great job.
How long before you start thinking about number 6?
Shoot, I'm ready. Monday, we crank it up for number 6.
All right, thank you, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dutch Fork winning their 5th straight title. Back to you guys in the booth.
Tommy Knotts told us, well, shorts and all, he's celebrating again. He told us we didn't know if there would be a season, but we knew if there was going to be one, we would be ready. Well, he said sustained success, yep, to the tune of 5 straight for Dutch Fork.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 70 years. Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
The Carolina Panthers are proud supporters of the South Carolina High School League Football State Championships. Panthers congratulate this year's state champions, Dutch Fork Silver Foxes, and all finalist participants in this year's championships. All the high school football programs across the state have the support of the Carolina Panthers for providing such great Friday night memories in this amazing 2020 season. Well, tonight it is Dutch Fork once again, and the Silver Foxes scoring on the opening drive of the game, and the defense limiting Hanna to just the touchdown on their opening drive of the game. Nothing more for Hanna in the 28-6 final, and our defensive player of the game, going to see roll in here. One of many to choose from on the Dutch Fork side of things. Chandler Perry with a good night, among others.
Youngster, another sophomore. Jarvis Green, Chandler Perry. The program's in good shape in the far future as well. Chandler Perry, up there is on your screen right there. Great job. The Roper St. Francis Defensive Player of the Game.
Roper St. Francis Healthcare. May the lights shine bright on your blessings so you can count them one by one. That's Roper St. Francis, the sponsor of tonight's Defensive Player of the Game. This defense, let's highlight them as a unit for a moment, Stacy. Again, I'll go back and underscore it. Hanna scored on the first drive. did not score again in the football game. So much talk over the years about Dutch Fork's offense, the explosive nature of it, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers. Tonight, it was this defense that shut down a pretty potent rushing attack.
It absolutely did. And when I saw them against River Bluff earlier on one of our games of the week, I told people, I said, I think the defense this year might be a little bit better than last year's defense. And I think tonight they can make a case for that.
Well, you think about what the defense has done the last couple of weeks after that unusual showing against Carolina Forest. They come back and shut out Sumter in the lower state championship game and limit Hanna to just that single score in the early stages tonight. So impressive work for the defense of Dutch Fork. What a trip for Hanna through this unusual season. They had a segment in the middle where for a trio of weeks they couldn't even play football.
Absolutely.
Yet they bounced back. They made up those games. They rolled through the reservation in Gaffney and District 3 Stadium in Rock Hill to defeat Northwestern.
Which is tough.
That's a run that not too many have made over the years in this state in order to simply get here. They've got a sophomore quarterback. They've got a system that's hard to handle. Tom Knott's talking about it. All the coaches talk about it. You don't see it often. They run it well. That means this TL Hanna team's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, get used to saying that name and seeing them around. The program has a system they all believe in. They're bringing the young puppies up in that system. The coach staff seems strong and stable. Don't be surprised if you see them making a run again next year. Deep into South Carolina High School League playoffs.
And if the year after they lost their most memorable and most famous junior, Radio, they make their way back to the state title, and he smiled on them again this year. His energy, certainly his spirit will always be with that group from Anderson, South Carolina. What a year for TL Hanna. Congratulations on an outstanding year. Time for our Will Lou Gray stop of the game. And will Lou Gray achieve a better future? Provides us with his stop, and there it was.
Stanley.
You talked about the brothers.
Stanley, that was a Debo. We both have the bike. We would keep it at my house. Move right there. He took the block and said, not only I'll stop you, I'll take you and throw you and let you tackle your own ball carrier. That was a bully move, a Bogart move that time by Danley.
Senior Trey Stanley providing us with that Will Lou Gray stop of the game. Well, you know by now, Dutch Fork has won 50 in a row in the state of South Carolina. They have won a 5th straight championship. They have won a 6th championship when you tack on the 2013 title at the 4A level. And it's the 13th for Tommy Knotts in his career when you go back to the work he did in North Carolina and now what he's done since crossing over into the Palmetto State. 13 personal titles, 6 of them now for Dutch Fork. 5 in a row, and no reason to believe they won't be right back here again next year.
A whole lot of reasons to believe they will be.
You better believe it.
I got 50 reasons I can give you right now. And that's Principal Gary right there next to Coach Tom Knott. Principal Gary has presided over a bunch of titles in football and a basketball appearance. And Principal Gerald Gary. And a lot of excitement down there in that green for Dutch Fork. That's all they know, Jason Patterson, is last game of the season and holding up a title.
Living large right off the lake over there in Irmo, that's for sure. They're loving what's taking place there in that Dutch Fork community. Again, 1992, Bill Kimry at the helm, Tom Knott's arriving and really turning the tide for this Dutch Fork program. And the Silver Foxes, they have been efficient in South Carolina high school football, and they continue to celebrate this 28-6 victory, a 22-point win. No points in the second half, but they weren't necessary. Dutch Fork built that 28-6 lead early, and the 22-point victory gives them a 5th straight title in 5A football. And in case you were wondering and you missed it when we talked about it in the early stages of the fourth quarter, Abbeville had won 4 in a row, 15-18. Dillon had won 4 in a row, 12-15. Christchurch, 11-14. Burns in the early 2000s. Woodruff in the 70s. Florence in the teens, the 19 teens. But nobody but Dutch Fork to win 5 in a row, and they've done it here in 2020. Let's check in with Mitch Brown once more.
Well, you had big shoes to fill with Ty Olenchuk leaving. You came here from Ben Lippen with this goal in mind. You've completed the job. How does it feel?
Yes, sir. It feels great. It was tough at times, very tough. It's like a system, though. Coach Knotts does a great job, along with his coaching staff, and our players played their butts off tonight, so it's a great feeling to have number 5.
Of course, it was a monsoon out here today. What type of game was this from the get-go? You knew that they wanted to have you guys. They wanted to play you guys tonight, but you guys prevailed in the end.
Yes, sir. They said they wanted some, so we gave them some. But we came out the gate pretty hard. Scored 28 in the first half, and then it started monsoon in the second half. We slowed down a little bit, but it was enough to get the win.
To be a part of history, to be a part of this program with Tom Knotts, what has it been like playing for him?
It's special. He's a special coach. He'll put everything into this sport, and it's just very special for a player.
What's the celebration meal tonight?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out once we get off the bus.
Congratulations. Go celebrate, get some good food, bud.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Will Taylor, offensive threat of the game, had a huge game. Guys, send it back up to you in the booth.
Now, the Clemson commit for baseball, who may very well not even make it to Tiger Town, could be drafted in the 21 Major League Baseball draft. He's the #1 baseball prospect in the state. We found out tonight he's a pretty good football player as well, if you didn't know it already, and he leads Dutch Fork in his long season on campus to their 5th straight title. His first, their 5th. Great job by the quarterback.
He said they wanted some, we gave him some, and he summed it up pretty much. That was the attitude from the Dutch Fork side of things. Again, social media, kids are kids, and I don't blame T.O. Hanna for calling them out and warning them. And you got to think you can win a game like this, but give Taylor credit for showing up, and I like his comments.
Let's take a look at the highlights for tonight's game. Actually, before we we are going to do highlights now. Here comes the give, and there's the first of many you'll see, no doubt, from number 4 in green. That, of course, is Jarvis Green. He was a major factor alongside Will Taylor tonight.
Young man's going to sleep well tonight. He played his Hanna off tonight, and the young man showed the speed, the power, all the things you want from a back, runs well behind his pads. As I said, someone close to that program told me he might have a big game tonight, and he did. They threw him the screen plays. They must have knew it was there. And then, of course, he ran the ball well, and Brownlee acquitted himself very well. They call him Mr. Clutch for T.O. Hanna, and he set up their one and only touchdown of the ball game, and then it was right back to the Will Taylor show. And the speedy sophomore Devin Hyatt injured on this play, but he contributed as he always has, 2 years as a varsity starter, and then Will Taylor finishes that drive off of the run.
Our thoughts with that young man moving forward in terms of that energy. Taylor ends up running for a couple of touchdowns tonight alongside Jarvis Green, who did the same, and then Taylor 6 of 9, 147 yards in the contest through the air as well. And boy, you think about Green, listen to these numbers. 13 carries, 144 yards. That's double digits a clip, and the 2 touchdowns to go along with it. So just a great night for Green. The defense solid as well. And Dutch Fork rolls up 373 yards of total offense en route to a 28-6 win and a 5th straight title. And one of those guys you just saw a lot on that highlight package. He's now standing by with Mitch.
Yeah, Jarvis, you just heard those numbers. You said, wow. And this has been a game. You see Coach Knotts there congratulating you. What did this feel like? You're a sophomore getting your chance to be a feature back out here and help this team get a state title once again.
This is great, man. I have no worries for it, but like I said, this is just a God-given talent, and God putting me in the right place at the right time.
This season has been like no other for you guys. You're a sophomore. You were able to come into this team that lost so much talent last season. What was the mission for this team? Obviously to get here, but what was the message all season long?
Drive for 5. That's been our message since day one, since we won the last year's state championship. And I don't even know what to say. It's just crazy because Coach Knotts, my freshman year, Coach Knotts said that he treats me like a senior because he knows he sees something in me. And right now in this game, it just proves that I see what he sees in me.
Coach said he's getting back to work on Monday to get ready for 6. What about you?
Monday I got basketball. I'm trying to get back to basketball, but I mean, the weight room, I'm going to be there. I'm going to lift. I'm trying to get bigger and get stronger.
Well, you got to eat to get bigger. So what's the celebration meal tonight?
It might be a go-to Waffle House. It might be that might be my call right there.
All-Star Special, never a bad choice. Congratulations to Jarvis Green, 140 yards on the ground tonight. Dutch Fork winning a 5th straight title. Back to you guys.
Well, the Super 25 team in the state of South Carolina and the USA Today rankings that rank the national's best high school teams around the country, and they played like it tonight. Proved it tonight. Stacy, your final thoughts on what we witnessed from Dutch Fork, the latest of their titles.
We knew coming in we had history, in the making one way or the other, either a super upset or a dynasty cementing performance by Dutch Fork. We got the dynastic performance right there. 5, never been done in the public school system. And, of course, what better team to do it than Tom Knotts, who did it 7 years in a row in Charlotte up at Independence High School. So what we saw was a team stamping themselves, and they came out with the opening drive, Jason, and let people know they were here to defend their championship.
Both teams scored on their opening drive. It was all Dutch Fork after that. A 22-point win for the Silver Foxes. The streak is now at 50 for Dutch Fork, and they'll carry a 5th straight title back to Irmo. It happened in 13. They returned to the state championship game, won the first ever 5A title in 16, added one in 17, again in 18, won the crown in 19, and now a special one in 2020. Guess what? It's Dutch Fork again, a 28-6 winner. The champs remain as such. And for everybody on our crew, thanks for watching tonight. Congrats to the Foxes atop the hill once more.